you'll receive 10% off your purchase at mybravebotanicals.com. This is the Liberty Beat for Wednesday, January 16th, 2019. Find us online at snls.news. The news now continues. The Ring doorbell camera system could be an invasion of your privacy. That's according to a report from the New York Post, which says the smart home company owned by Amazon, which the internet retail giant shelled out more than $1 billion to acquire, has apparently been violating its customers' privacy in a shocking way. A new report from The Intercept quotes unnamed sources who confirm that engineers and executives at Ring have highly privileged access to live customer camera feeds, utilizing both Ring's doorbells as well as its in-home cameras. All that's apparently required to tap into the live feeds is a customer's email address, meaning the company has been egregiously lax when it comes to security and privacy, that even people outside the company could have potentially done that, using merely an email address to begin spying on customers, according to the report. Within the company, a team that was supposed to have been focused on helping Ring get better at object recognition in videos caught customers in videos doing everything from kissing to firing guns and stealing. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio is rolling out a new plan that would potentially allow the city government to seize buildings of landlords who force tenants out. Fox News reports that de Blasio, in his State of the City address last week, announced he wants to take action against landlords who try to force tenants out by making the property unlivable, and pulled out an executive order to create a mayor's office to protect tenants. He said that in the event the government intervenes, the buildings would then be controlled by a, quote, community nonprofit, end quote. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. It's simple. Send an email to libertybeat@snls News for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at snls.news. Coming soon to the SNLS Network is The Bones of Anarchy, a podcast produced by activist Tony Bones. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat on this Wednesday, January 16th, 2019, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
Did you know that 35% of high school girls report that they've only had sex with 1 or 2 partners a year, instead of having the living shit out of them by any guy they see?
Did you know that only half of all 17-year-old males report without a condom, even though it's really the only way to go?
There are thousands of American teenagers today who are unaware of the full benefits of your brains out all day, every day. These otherwise average high schoolers haven't been taught about every chance you get, pounding each other dry, and never ever pulling out. Every sexually active high school student should know this stuff. Ditch the condoms, because it's always better raw. Stop worrying about STDs. Every chance you get. Just keep and strangers, doesn't matter who. And most importantly, be direct with your partner about how badly you want to their brains out.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want and take control of the airwaves here. Our number for you is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. It's 855-450-3733. We've also got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms. They're open and available to you over at discord.lrn.fm, so feel free to hop in there and join us. The us tonight, it's me, Ian.
It's me, Vincent.
And Darryl.
Vincent, welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back behind a mic.
You're back behind a mic. You also took kind of basically a few weeks off for winter break. You're a college student, and you left Keene, so it's hard to do a show when you don't have a nice studio to do it in. But you're actually going to be sitting in for Conan until further notice here on Wednesday nights. He's a postal carrier, as
yes.
For those that hear us normally on Wednesdays, well, where's Conan? He's filling in for a woman who slipped on some ice out here and broke her vertebrae or something like that, or neck collarbone or something bad.
She broke something. Yeah. Can't do the mailman job anymore.
Something
male person, Darryl. You don't want to use gendered language. Male person.
I'm sorry. Female man.
Right. So he's now doing like 7 days a week for the post office, and he just can't make it in tonight. So, and you actually went up to Canada recently. Maybe
that's where he's from.
Right, but he went up during the holidays, where of course they just legalized cannabis. So,
is he old enough?
Yes.
Well, until the current government, the current provincial government in Quebec is considering, and I think they're planning on raising the age from 18, which you could currently buy cannabis in the province of Quebec, to 21.
Okay.
Yeah, their implementation seems to be tweaked towards being more conservative than some of the other provinces, some of the comments.
Yeah, and I thought some of the provinces already had like a 19 or 21
Some are 19,
age.
yeah.
In this case, it's because usually Quebec has been run either by the Parti Québécois or the Parti Libéral. In this case, the sort of center-right or just centrists. I mean, in Canadian politics, Coalition Avenir Quebec, they took control over it. So they're going to their platform is, I guess, sort of like moderate Republican compared to, I guess, a U.S.
Are they the secessionists or no?
No, no. They're sovereignists, I believe. So they believe Quebec should have special privileges in the Canadian Confederation,
but not leave Canada.
Yeah, because there's too much money in that. Parti Québécois, the Peakists, that's the separatist party.
Yeah, I, for some reason, thought that there were like 3 different secessionist parties in Quebec, but they all disagreed of what to do after secession.
Yeah, that's there's 2 main ones. There's Parti Québécois, which is provincial, and then there's Bloc Québécois, which is the it's in the National Assembly or the National Parliament. That's what it is.
Got it.
So you were up there. It's 18 right now. You're 20. Did you go to one of these stores? I mean, what happened?
Well, I considered
the government run there, right?
Yes, yeah, it's absolutely.
Because some of the provinces, they've allowed for private operation of the establishments that sell cannabis, but in Quebec, it's government.
Yes, yeah, it's similar to how the liquor stores are run there. So it's all government. I really wanted to go and check one out, and I considered going, but they had such erratic hours. Like the ones it was like a Saturday or a Sunday, and it closed at 4.
Typical government store. I remember being in Toronto. That's Ontario province, right?
Yes.
And Ontario province is one of the other ones where it's government-run stores. In fact, that's where they were just screwing up royally. They'd run out of cannabis like immediately on day number 1. And
ironically, at 420, I think it was, or was that a different province?
I don't know, but it was ridiculous.
There was one where there were the news reports of, yep, ironically enough, at 4:20 in the afternoon, we ran out of cannabis.
And their website was backed up and broken, and the deliveries were delayed, and there was like a postal service protest going on, or some kind of the workers were protesting during the holidays, and it was just an absolute cluster F there in Ontario province. Hadn't heard that much about how it went in Quebec province, but regardless, it doesn't surprise me because I remember visiting Toronto, and that's when I learned that they had the government-run beer and wine stores.
When were you allowed to visit Toronto?
This was more than a decade ago. This was probably 2008.
Okay.
Went there for actually a rave with my girlfriend at the time. And they had these government-run beer and wine / liquor stores. I don't think they could even sell. If I recall correctly, we actually went into a convenience store. They can't even sell it in convenience stores there. Whereas, like here in New Hampshire, the government has a big control over liquor,
right.
But they do allow convenience stores and grocery stores to sell the beer and the wine.
Right.
But here, you had to go to the government store, and it was just like that. They closed at 4:00 in the afternoon. So we tried to go. And we were there like 6 or 7 or whatever, figuring it's a liquor store. It's going to be open. Nope. No, it wasn't. Whereas in Massachusetts, when Darryl, you and I went down there to check out Green Tuesday, the very first day of legal cannabis sales in east of the Mississippi in the United States, they were open from 8 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night. Those people want to serve their customers.
Yes.
These government agents, they don't care about that. You come when they say they're going to be open.
And if I really wanted to, I obviously would have been able to get, so I just had to go to a different part of a city or wake up earlier and whatnot. But I checked the prices online on their bare bones website, and I mean, compared to what I've heard, prices are in the black market, it absolutely wasn't worth it. And I just
more expensive.
Yeah. So instead, I just went to just went to a few bars and pubs and had the traditional good old legal time.
Right, because you can drink at age 18
yes.
in Canada. So anyway, we can continue here. Of course, you can bring up anything that you want. Now, anything interesting happened at the border on the way in?
Or
yes. The way out? You always got to ask somebody about what the border experience was like.
The way out was easy. Usually it's easier going in, right?
Into the U.S.?
Into Canada, because the Border Patrol are not, Canadians are much nicer,
very
nicer, and also, and so... and I always go there for travel, right? I always travel for holidays. But so going in and out, because I usually go to the smaller stations, that wasn't an issue. But on the way into Canada, there's a Border Patrol, or I forget exactly who there was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was, but U.S. Border Patrol. There's like a car parked right in front of, like in the on the street, right, or on the road. And so my mother's driving
at the checkpoint or before the checkpoint,
like a few hundred feet before. And so this man's holding like an automatic shotgun with the shells in the holder. So it was like a scene out of like a third world country or something.
Wow.
Like they're going to rob us or something. And I'm panicking. I'm like, oh my God, this is it. I've seen The Godfather. I know what they're going to do. And so they stop the car, and then they're
going to make you an offer you can't refuse.
Well, no, more like the toll booth scene, where they have the if it was getting
I've
ambushed
actually never
or something.
seen.
I've never seen it either.
And so anyways, and so they say, are you citizen? And I say to my mom, I'm like, you don't have to answer this. It's unconstitutional. And she tells me to be quiet and doesn't want to get in any trouble.
Wait, you don't have to answer that at the actual border?
No, it wasn't the actual border.
Oh.
No, it was before. It was a few hundred feet before the border.
That's basically the border.
Yeah, I think that's the border.
Well, I mean, like
there's like the border crossing area.
If it was a U.S. officer, then you probably might have already even crossed the border at that point, and their checkpoint was a few hundred feet beyond it.
Well, I mean, okay, you would know more than I would. I just didn't understand
it wasn't
why
a Canadian officer.
No, it was not. It was a U.S. going into Canada, and so I was freaked out by it. I didn't know if something.
The Canadians probably aren't going to let a U.S. officer stand with a shotgun inside Canadian territory.
No, obviously not. And so when we went to the Canadian, when we went to the checkpoint, we gave it was fine. Where are you going? What are you bringing? And my mother asked. She said, "Hey, do you know what they're doing over there? What's that all about?" And the Canadian officer said, "I don't know. They didn't tell us."
I know in Derby Line / Stansted, which is Vermont, Quebec.
Yeah.
It used to be like one community that just happened to be divided by the border.
Right.
Neither checkpoint is right on the border.
That's correct.
They're both several hundred feet away.
Yeah, there's. I remember when I was at Derby Line. There's actually a short documentary about it on the Free Keene YouTube channel. Just search for Derby Line or Derby Line Free Keene and on YouTube, and you'll find it. There was. There's a bridge that you go over a river of some sort, and so presumably the river is the border at that point, and then you've got to walk a little ways before you actually get to the border patrol installation.
And then there are other spots where it's just like here's some potted plants designating the border.
Yep.
And there's a big, huge, giant sign on the American side. It's illegal to cross here, blah, 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 blah. And on the Canadian side, it's like, oh, if you happen to cross here, just kindly go over and see the border agent, eh?
Yeah, that's a pretty good explanation of it. So you got through, everything was okay. They didn't actually toss the car or anything like that?
No, it would have wasted their time.
Now, at the border, one of the concerns that those of us in the United States who care about freedom should have, besides the fact that the border exists, is the idea that they can search your devices at the border. And there's a federal court case, and I don't know if it has to do with the border itself, but within the United States, about your ability, or the police's ability, or lack thereof, for them to force you to use biometric identification like your fingerprints.
And this is huge.
To open your phone.
Yes,
to
this
unlock
is a
it.
huge decision.
This is, and we'll tell you what it's about and share that with you on the way tonight. 855-450 free if you want to join us on Free Talk Live.
And not to mention the shedding, I would vacuum the carpet 3 times a week. Frodo was scratching all night long, bouncing on the side of the bed, keeping me awake the whole entire night from all the scratching and chewing. It kind of makes you neurotic.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy?
Mounds and mounds of fur all over the place.
Come to Dinovite for help.
DINOVITE.com. If you want the dog to be healthy, you got to feed it something healthy.
Dinovite is nutrition.
The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
Our vitamins and enzymes replace the nutrients cooked out of most commercial dog foods.
He gobbles it up. He's not up all night scratching. His shedding is minimal, and it is such a pleasure to have my calm, relaxed, non-shedding puppy back. And I have to thank Dinovite for that.
Don't let your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy.
Come to Dinovite for help.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000. 1000.
DINOVITE.com.
Smart Cash is a peer-to-peer digital currency that is fast, secure, and easy to use. Smart Cash also features smart rewards, a price stabilization mechanism, and a way to encourage long-term holding. Long-term holders are key to the project's success. You can earn smart rewards on any address for which you hold the private keys, which holds at least 1,000 smart for 1 month and does not make any outgoing transactions during that time. Smart rewards are distributed every 47,500 blocks to all eligible addresses. Learn more at smartcash.cc.
You want to know the 37 items you must have to survive a crisis? Then I've got some good news for you. Former CIA officer and New York Times best-selling author Jason Hansen is now giving listeners a free copy of his book, The Escape Bag Blueprint, 37 Items You Must Have to Survive a Crisis. You can claim your copy at freeescapebook.com. Don't delay. Jason reveals the guns, knives, flashlights, and water filters that could save your life in an economic collapse or grid-down event. Get your free book today, freeescapebook.com. freeescapebook.com.
Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com. Now you can follow LRN.FM on the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You can take control of the airwaves here. The toll-free number, it's 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've also got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. Jump into any one of those, and you'll get on the air with us here. You'll sound almost like you are sitting in the studio, as a matter of fact. Anypay.global. You can go to anypay.global if you are a business owner. Maybe a manager, but probably you should be the owner. Somebody who wants to start accepting cryptocurrency at your point of sale in real life. And they're working on something. I don't know how much I can say about it, but they're working on something for internet businesses who would like to accept cryptocurrency. Now, obviously, there's a bevy of choices out there for this, but they've already done an integration with a fairly big e-tailer, and I can't say which one, but I was impressed when I saw it. And I asked them, can I talk about it? And they said, no, not yet, because we just started. I'm sure they want to make sure the bugs or whatever kinks get worked out. But it was pretty good news. I'll let you know when we know. But for right now, if you got a real-life business, go to anypay.global, and you can get signed up super easy. There's all you need is your username and password, and you're in. Then you put your cryptocurrency wallet address into the settings page, and then put the app on your device at the checkout. And that's it. You're accepting cryptocurrency. super easy literally within minutes of having gone to anypay.global. Unlike, let's say, credit card companies that, you got to apply, and that's probably going to take you an hour, and then they got to approve your application. Maybe they will, maybe they won't, and then you got to go and jump through hoops and get the machine and get all kinds of, KYC.
Well,
and
I've even
AML.
noticed some of the quote-unquote competitors to AnyPay that to sign up, you have to send them an email saying, I want to sign up, and then wait on them to get back to you to let you actually sign up.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many controls, it's ridiculous. So go to anypay.global and you will feel way more free because you're accepting cryptocurrency and you didn't really have to ask anybody's permission to do it. It's anypay.global. As we go to the story here that I've actually had for a few days, and it's an important piece, so I'm glad we're finally going to get it to you. From Forbes.com, Thomas Brewster reporting where a California judge has ruled that American cops can't force people to unlock their mobile phone with their face or finger. The ruling goes further to protect people's private lives from government searches than any previous ruling and is being hailed as a potentially landmark decision.
Right. So prior to this decision, and I'm going to assume that this is out of the the district court. It's not the full Ninth Circuit.
Yes, Northern District of California.
Yeah, so prior to this decision, the federal courts across multiple districts have consistently ruled that there's things you know and things you have. So a password or a PIN code.
That's a thing you know.
Or, yeah, that's a thing you know. A finger, a retina scan, take a picture of your face. That's a thing you have. Mm-hmm. And they've ruled that, cops can't force you to give over information that you have, but they can force you to hand over something, a physical thing that you have. So fingerprint, picture, retina, etc. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens, and I'm fairly confident that this is going to work its way up
to the Supreme Court.
Probably to the Supreme Court. It's going to be interesting to see if the Supreme Court decides to hear the case. Mm-hmm. But it will be interesting to see what happens as it works its way through the courts.
Previously, U.S. judges had ruled that police were allowed to force unlock devices, meaning to literally take your hand and put your finger onto the
because
scanner.
A finger is something you have.
Devices like Apple's iPhone with biometrics, such as fingerprints, faces, or even irises. That was despite the fact that feds weren't permitted to force a suspect to divulge their passcode.
Because that's a thing you know, and you can forget a thing you know.
But according to this ruling uncovered by Forbes, and then they do actually link to that, all logins are equal. The order came from the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California in the denial of a search warrant for an unspecified property in Oakland. The warrant was filed as part of an investigation into a Facebook extortion crime in which a victim was asked to pay up or have an embarrassing video of them publicly released. The cops had some suspects in mind and wanted to raid their property. In doing so, the feds also wanted to open up any phone on the premises via facial recognition, a fingerprint, or iris. When the judge agreed that investigators had shown probable cause to search the property, or that while they'd shown probable cause to search the property, they didn't have the right to open all devices inside by forcing unlocks with biometric features. On the one hand, Magistrate Judge Candace Westmore ruled the request was overbroad, as it was, quote, neither limited to a particular person nor a particular device. But in a more significant part of the ruling, Westmore declared that the government didn't have the right, even with a warrant, to force suspects to incriminate themselves by unlocking their devices with their biological features. Now, previously, courts had decided that biometric features, unlike passcodes, were not, quote, testimonial. That was because a suspect would have to willingly and verbally give up a passcode, which is not the case with biometrics. It's another way of explaining what you would explain.
The thing you have or the thing you know.
A password was therefore deemed as testimony, but body parts were not, and so therefore not granted Fifth Amendment protections against self-incrimination. That created a paradox, according to Forbes. How could a passcode be treated differently to a finger or face when any of the three could be used to unlock a device and expose a user's private life? And that's just what Westmore focused on in her ruling, declaring that technology is outpacing the law. The judge wrote that fingerprints and face scans were not the same as physical evidence when considered in a context where those body features would be used to unlock a phone. She wrote in her decision, quote, "If a person cannot be compelled to provide a passcode because it's a testimonial communication, a person cannot be compelled to provide one's finger, thumb, iris, face, or other biometric feature to unlock that same device."
Now, I pulled up, and I'm glad Forbes linked over to
the decision.
I've been scanning through it here, and something very interesting is mentioned here. It says, hold on, let me scroll back here. Courts have an obligation to safeguard constitutional rights and cannot permit those rights to be diminished merely due to the advancement of technology. And
wow, that's a refreshing statement.
And then it cites several different court rulings, has another couple of quotes, and then says citizens do not contemplate waiving their civil rights when using new technology, and the Supreme Court has concluded that to find otherwise would leave individuals at the mercy of advancing technology.
Yeah, that's true. Most people don't think when they get their phone, will the police legally be able to force me to unlock this device? Maybe I should consider that when I, decide how to lock the device. They don't think about that stuff.
Right. Like I have a phone that does have fingerprint unlocking. I've intentionally not turned it on.
Because you are paying attention to the news. You are probably of 1% of the United States population that is aware of these court decisions.
Right. That, and I'm also aware that, sometimes accidents happen and fingerprints get burned off.
That's true as well. There's more coming up. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. But the good news is, Darryl, you can also do both. You can still have the punch code and the fingerprint if you wanted to. More coming up. This is Free Talk Live. We've got more from the decision on the way. And your thoughts. Welcome.
Most of you know that heart disease is the #1 silent killer in the U.S. What if I told you for just $54.95 a month you could fight against heart disease naturally? At Heart and Body Extract, we've been helping thousands of people get back to a healthier heart. Don't just take my word for it. Check out all of the success stories at hbextract.com, or to order, call 866-295-5305. That's 866-295-5305. hbextract.com. Don't risk it when you can take charge of it.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Sling bow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of sling bow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey.
Who do you think you are?
Excuse me.
There is no video or audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it. Wait
a minute.
Really forget it. Whoa! Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me?
Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can dial in toll-free to join us. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Talking about a pretty important court decision. Now, it was just a federal court, lower court, district court there in Northern California that made the decision, but it's a big change to previous court decisions regarding whether or not the police can force you to unlock a phone with biometric data, so fingerprint, iris scan. I've never heard of phones doing iris scans, but
facial recognition.
Facial recognition.
Yeah, I don't know if any phones currently do it, but it is something that
it could be done.
Retina scans do exist for certain things.
Correct. So saying it essentially that this is, according to the story here over at Forbes, that whether it is your password or whether it is a piece of your body, some sort of physical evidence, that to this judge, it's all the same. She says...
And I also think the reason they're listing iris scan is because they are referring to biometrics.
Right.
And
they're including all of the known biometrics.
Here are all of the things that we know of that could possibly be used as biometric information.
Correct. Quote from the judge, if a person cannot be compelled to provide a passcode because it's a testimonial communication, a person cannot be compelled to provide one's finger, thumb, iris, face, or other biometric feature to unlock that same device. Now, I doubt she's going to address this question, but what if you're asleep? So if it's illegal for the police to grab your arm while you're, sitting on you're sitting at an interrogation table, and they're like, all right, you need to unlock that phone, and they grab your hand and put your finger on the device. And
if you're asleep, it would also be illegal.
Sure, but you wouldn't know at that point. So, I mean, that's my concern. Is
right, but there are people that have their rights violated, and they don't find out for years.
Sure,
in some
true.
cases.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you would find out if they use the data.
It would be a violation.
Yeah.
And you would later find out
if they use the information against you in some sort of charge. The undersigned finds that a biometric feature is analogous to the 20 nonverbal physiological responses elicited during a polygraph test, which are used to determine guilt or innocence and are considered testimonial.
Polygraphs have also been thrown out in a number of states because they're largely unreliable.
That's correct.
Because it really is based upon heart rate and breathing.
It can be manipulated.
If you get really angry because the guy's just asking you a bunch of stupid questions with the intent to get you angry, it's going to, elevated heart rate. Your palms are starting to sweat. You must be lying. You're guilty.
Not necessarily. If a person, let's see here, according to the story at Forbes, There were other ways that the government could get access to relevant data in the Facebook extortion case that do not trample on the Fifth Amendment, said the judge. They could, for instance, ask Facebook to provide messenger communications, she suggested. Here's a hint. Don't use Facebook if you want secret communications. If you have something that is important that you not have other people read, especially the police, don't send it over Facebook.
Right. Do you want to use something encrypted?
Yes. Now, of course, there's nothing perfect, and if they've, cracked your phone or the NSA has secret access or whatever, then it probably won't matter what you use. But you can take a few basic steps to give you a little bit of extra privacy with your communications. When you're on Facebook, you have no privacy. It's just not there.
Right.
So she said Facebook, according to the story, Facebook's been willing to hand over messages like that in a significant number of previous cases that Forbes has reviewed. Over recent years, the government has drawn criticism for its smartphone searches. In 2016, Forbes uncovered a search warrant not dissimilar to the one in California. Again, in the Golden State, the feds wanted to go onto a premises and force unlock devices with fingerprints, regardless of what phones or who was inside. Andrew Crocker, senior staff attorney at the digital rights nonprofit Electronic Frontier Foundation, said the latest California ruling went a step further than he'd seen other courts go. In particular, Judge Westmore observed alphanumeric passcodes and biometrics serve the same purpose in unlocking phones. While that's a fairly novel conclusion, it's a fairly novel conclusion. This is from EFF. It's important that courts are beginning to look at these issues on their own terms. In its recent decisions, the Supreme Court has made clear that digital searches raise serious privacy concerns that didn't exist in the age of physical search. A full forensic search of a cell phone reveals far more than a pat-down of a suspect's pockets during an arrest, for example.
Now, I've got a few more quotes here from the decision.
Sure.
That I find very fascinating. Judge says, as the government acknowledges, there are times when the device will not accept the biometric feature and require the user to type the passcode.
Correct.
So as Vincent mentioned, if the phone restarts, you've got to type in the passcode.
Sometimes if you error it too many times, it'll also lock it out.
And then you could also, I think several phones allow this, where you do what's referred to as two-factor authentication, where you do, say, a fingerprint and a passcode.
Oh, really?
I think there are some phones that do allow for that. Continuing on here, says, this is no doubt a security feature to ensure that someone without the passcode cannot readily access the contents of the phone. Indeed, the government expresses some urgency with the need to compel the use of biometric features to bypass the need to enter a passcode. The urgency appears to be rooted in the government's inability to compel the production of the passcode under the current jurisprudence. And then it goes down. Secondly, requiring someone to affix their finger or thumb to a digital device is fundamentally different than requiring a suspect to submit to fingerprinting. A finger or thumb scan to unlock a device indicates that the device belongs to the particular person. In other words, the act concedes that the phone was in the possession and control of the suspect.
Because you could have had a phone that wasn't yours, I guess, right?
Yeah. And like, let's say that you leave your phone somewhere and I'm just returning it to you. I get pulled over for something.
Yeah, they tell you to open the phone up.
Oh, somebody driving this car was alleged to have robbed a bank or planned this, blah, 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 unlock the phone. Well, it's not my phone. Unlock the phone. I can't unlock this phone.
Right. And so being able to put your finger on there by force and then opening the phone would then confirm it is your phone. And if
either confirm that it is or is not.
And that could be used. Then that evidence can all be used against you.
Right. And then, she's got more quotes and much longer. It's a 9-page decision here. So it's
relatively
not that
short
long.
As far as court decisions go.
But as far as, just continuing to read what she wrote.
Yeah, no. She is, by the way, a magistrate judge, as the final paragraph points out here. That is basically the lowest form of a federal judge. She could be, of course, overturned by a district court judge, as happened in Illinois in 2017 with a similar ruling. The best advice for anyone concerned about government overreach into their smartphones: stick to a strong alphanumeric passcode that you won't be compelled to disclose. So I think that's good advice here. This by no means is, This isn't the Supreme Court, and it's a very,
Right.
very long way from here to the Supreme Court. Whether or not anybody is going to appeal this ruling is another question. We don't know.
I believe they will wind up appealing.
Yeah, because it's no skin off their back.
Well, and it also conflicts with existing court precedent.
Right.
And, while this ruling can't be used outside of the Northern District of California as precedent, it could be looked at as judicially significant in other cases.
Yeah. So there's the news for you. If you want to comment on security, your thoughts are certainly welcome here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Now, I brought this up sort of in the context of, Vincent, your trip to Canada and experiences at the border. This doesn't likely apply to the border, would be my guess, because there have been other rulings that say that a Border Patrol agent can demand you give them a passcode to get into your phone. You can refuse the demand, but they then confiscate your phone.
Correct.
And good luck getting it back.
Because courts have consistently ruled that basically the Constitution doesn't apply at the border, and you have no rights.
At the border. Yeah.
Yes.
They still hold on to the idea that you have rights within the United States, kinda.
To some extent.
855-450-FREE is the toll-free number. You can join us here. More coming up. Your thoughts welcome on Free Talk Live.
Does your dog itch, scratch, stink, or shed like crazy? Come to Dynavite for help. Order a 90-day supply of Dynavite. Pick up 2 bottles of Lico Chops, get the 3rd bottle free. New improved Lico Chops with omega-6, omega-3, vitamin E, and now 6 extra direct-fed microbials. Even better for the digestive tract and immune system. And dogs love it. Try Lico Chops. Buy 2, get 1 free. This is Henry Lukasevic for Dynavite.
DINOVITE.com.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Marijuana has unleashed a green gold rush across our nation. It's creating $10.8 billion in new wealth a year. And every day, it's transforming more and more Americans into millionaires. In an historic event, former Speaker of the House John Boehner reveals how you could become one of them. Join him online for the American Cannabis Summit. Attendance is 100% free, but space is limited. To secure your spot, text JOIN to 76280. This event is the first of its kind ever. John Boehner and an esteemed panel will reveal which cannabis stocks are primed to deliver life-changing windfalls in the weeks and months ahead. Plus, they will show you how to become a cannabis angel investor, backing the hottest startups before they potentially become worth billions of dollars. To join American Cannabis Summit, text JOIN to 76280. Attendance is free. Text JOIN to 76280. Text JOIN to 76280.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Dial in, toll free, take control of the airwaves, and bring up whatever's on your mind. Our number here, 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've also got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. Coming up here tonight, I know, Vincent, you had some interesting news about, let's see, what was it, Cortez? This Ocasio-Cortez who wants to destroy the progressive movement?
Oh, no, she wants to run a train on it.
Okay, we'll talk more about that on the way. Plus, Darryl, speaking of news, fake news, you wanted to get into who is it that's sharing this fake news. We're going to get into that coming up. But you had something else that you wanted to highlight from this judge's decision before we get into your calls, which we're going to take next.
Yeah, so we, covered some excerpts from the decision. There was a story from Forbes, and in the conclusion, she says, for the reasons, and again, 9-page decision here. Conclusion, for the reasons set forth above, the government search warrant application is denied. The government may not compel or otherwise utilize fingers, thumbs, facial recognition, optical, iris, or any other biometric features to unlock electronic devices. Furthermore, the government may only seize those digital devices that law enforcement reasonably believes are owned and or possessed by the 2 suspects named in the affidavit.
Okay.
The government may submit a new search warrant application consistent with this order. Finally, the undersigned hereby seals the search warrant application, including all attachments thereto. This order, however, is a matter of public record and shall accordingly be issued a case number and docketed by the clerk of the court.
So the idea being that she restricted them from being able to snatch up every single device.
Right. So there's the much broader thing where the court said, yeah, you can't use fingers, thumbs, etc. Oh, and by the way, as it applies to this specific case, rewrite your search warrant and only take the things that you reasonably believe belong to the people that are the suspects.
Now, of course, they're going to say everything they they believed everything belonged to the suspects.
Everything in the apartment building.
Yeah. But, certainly is a stronger argument if the person has it in their back pocket as opposed to, a phone sitting on a coffee table where nobody's around it. So, interesting case. If we hear more, we're certainly going to let you know. If you hear more, before we do, you can call in and bring us the news. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. Tom is in New Hampshire. Tom, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian, Vincent, and Darryl.
Yeah, this afternoon, I was driving down Canal Street in Nashua, and I had to make a right turn onto Main Street. Well, there was a police car in the left lane, and I pulled up in the right lane, and of course there was a red light, so I stopped. And somebody behind me was honking their horn. And I guess they didn't know much about the traffic laws in New Hampshire, but when the light turned green, I went ahead and made the right turn, and
Wait, you're not allowed to turn right on red in New Hampshire?
Well, listen. See, I turned right on green to go north on the Main Street, and the cop car activated the emergency lights and pulled somebody over. Checked, saw in the rear view mirror. I think it was the same car that was honking the horn. You see, in the state of New Hampshire, it's illegal to turn right on red if there are crosswalk lights that are not in steady don't walk mode. And that is
crosswalk lights that aren't in don't walk mode. Meaning, if somebody is crossing at a crosswalk when there's the walk icon, you can't turn right then?
If there's doesn't matter whether there's anybody in the crosswalk or not.
Ridiculous.
If there are crosswalk lights, they have to be in steady don't walk mode. I knew nothing about that until a few years ago when my son was in driver ed, and he told me about it. And, the funny thing is I was teaching him how to drive. But in any case...
Now, I know that there are some intersections where they'll have the right turn arrow, and if that is red, then you can't turn.
And some intersections have a sign that say no turn on, no right turn on red. I've seen that as well, and it just makes no sense at all. I mean, I'm sorry.
Well,
it's one of the easiest turns that anybody can ever make is to turn right on red. All you got to do is look and make sure nobody's coming, careening into you.
Yeah,
and you can.
Now,
turn right.
I do understand that there are times where there might be a visual obstruction where you can't necessarily see, and in that case, be safe. Don't do it.
That makes sense, no doubt about it. In the case I'm talking about, there's no visual obstruction whatsoever.
There's no visual obstruction, but you cannot turn right on red. Well, if there are crosswalk lights, they have to be in steady don't walk mode. And they told the cops about it, and they told the driver ed teachers about it, but nobody told everybody else about it.
Well, yeah, you're supposed to find out the hard way when you get a ticket.
Or if you listen to Free Talk Live and some blabbermouth calls up and goes on the air and tells everybody, about it. It reveals and ignorance of the law not only is no excuse, but then when I checked the state's website to tell you the exact RSA, well, it's in the driver ed handbook that's online, but it's not in. They didn't update the statutes.
It's not in the statutes. So the statutes authorize the DMV to create a bunch of rules that they can just do on a whim. They don't have to ask any politicians for it. The statute,
it hasn't been updated in the statute thing that's online that has the disclaimer that says you can't really go by this one as a legal document. This is just for your easy reference. I took a look at that one, and under RSA 625.10, which is what anybody would look under, it doesn't say anything about crosswalk lights having to be in steady don't walk mode. So even if you check the statute
I can't stand these stupid laws that prohibit people from using common sense. Thank you for the call, Tom. I appreciate it. The RSAs don't matter to me. They don't matter to most of our listeners. But certainly everybody out there knows that there's a bunch of dumb traffic laws that have absolutely nothing to do with common sense. Like, I don't know, stopping at a stoplight in the middle of the night when there's no one on the roads. I don't mind stopping so I can look around to make sure that there's no one coming.
Right.
But I'll blow right through those things after I've stopped to check. I'm going through because I got better things to do than sit around at an empty intersection and wait for some automated system to detect that I'm there, then change the light, then go. I mean, how much time do people lose from their productive lives because of these stupid obedience devices that they're just supposed to follow without any kind of thought?
I have a bunch of Europeans and Canadians telling me how roundabouts are like, there's more in like Europe and Canada.
Are there?
That there's people from the U.S. just don't understand them, that they're much better than lights. You don't get the...
They are better, in my opinion.
And somewhere I read, like, the U.S. has the most amount of traffic laws, and yet it also, compared to, like Europe or other, but they also have the most amount of traffic fatalities or traffic accidents also.
Right, because... Well, there's laws to protect people from running over pedestrians, whereas in certain towns in Europe, they've just gotten rid of all of the speed limit signs in downtown areas. They've gotten rid of some of the crosswalk stuff. They've gotten rid of a lot of the things. People are actually paying attention.
Right, because they're at a higher risk.
They're not in this false sense of security.
Right, well, at least they feel as though they're at a higher risk because it's a false sense of security. There have been studies done on this as well in some of these European towns. I feel like Denmark was one of the places. I mean, just think about it. If you take away, let's go with a cliff, right? You're driving on a road, there's a cliff nearby. Highly treacherous, right? But the government has put up barriers along the side of where the cliff is. So people will drive faster on that area of the road than they normally would,
right?
Because they feel like the barrier is a protective factor, and so therefore they can take the higher risk of, I'll just go ahead and drive faster. There's a barrier there. Whereas if there weren't a barrier there, you better believe people be real concerned for where their car was in relation to the road as they're trying to navigate whatever twists and turns you're going around this road.
I don't know if you've ever been up Mount Washington.
No, I've not.
Yeah, I've driven up there.
Where there a lot of sections of that on this winding road. They say it's a 2-lane road. Cars are going both ways. It's barely a 1-lane road.
Really?
But they've got traffic going both ways. Lots of sections. There's no barrier on the side because there's not room.
And so you're at risk. And so maybe that
people are driving, 10, 15 miles an hour. So it takes a long time to get up that 6-mile road.
That's a great point. I always saw those bumper stickers around. What is it? My car survived?
Yeah, my car made the trip.
Made the trip.
My car climbed Mount Washington.
Right. And I always wondered, so? A bunch of people have done that. But now you're making it more clear to me, Darryl, that there's actually some risk involved in driving the car up Mount Washington. So maybe that sticker is actually somewhat meaningful. You actually accomplished something. You didn't go careening.
I wouldn't drive up it.
Really? Did you go with somebody else driving?
Yes. Okay. Former TSA George. Who's now Uber George.
Yes. All right. Toll-free number here if you want to join us. Hour number 2 coming up. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. We're going to talk about fake news. Lots of people talked about fake news in the last year. And, Darryl, you've got a study about it.
Yes.
And who's sharing it. Which, of course, people sharing fake news makes it worse. More on the way. This is Free Talk Live. Hour 2's next.
It's been said, any society is only 3 missed meals away from chaos. Those times may be near. Think about it. Our country faces multiple terrorist threats and aggressions from Russia and North Korea. Social unrest and violent marches yet again may lead to looting of stores and city shutdowns. And our crumbling infrastructure leaves our power grid vulnerable to long-term outages from a single cyber attack. When the chaos from any one of these threats arises, the government knows it can't provide during a widespread national emergency. That's why you need your own plan for self-reliance. That's where My Patriot Supply comes in. Get a 4-week survival food supply for only $99. That includes breakfast, lunches, and dinners. Order online at preparewithgcn.com. $99 for 4 weeks of survival food that tastes like homemade cooking and lasts up to 25 years. From My Patriot Supply. Get your kits today at preparewithgcn.com. Free shipping is included. Preparewithgcn.com.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene, the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, January 16th, 2019. Silver is trading at $15.55 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,291 per ounce. Smart cash is trading at 1.26 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $3,644. Antiwar.com reports recent peace talks between the U.S. and the Afghan Taliban have been making encouraging progress. The progress now looks at risk of collapse, with the Taliban threatening to pull out of the talks if the U.S. doesn't stop trying to deflect the issue of withdrawing foreign troops from Afghanistan. While U.S. negotiator Zalmay Khalilzad presented this as a mere agenda disagreement, it appears to be far more than that and actually stems from the U.S. apparently backing away from the idea of withdrawing from Afghanistan at all. The Taliban has long made a U.S. pullout the primary demand for any deal ending the war, and the progress led to the suggestion that the U.S. was finally willing to at least consider that as part of a deal to end the 17-plus year war. Instead, U.S. officials are now seeking to totally change the terms and get concessions for keeping long-term military bases inside Afghanistan. U.S. officials are arguing that they need the bases to ensure that the Taliban can't use Afghanistan to stage attacks on other nations, presenting this demand after reports that they were going to let the Taliban into a new interim government and cancel elections for the existing Afghan government. However, gives the appearance that this is suddenly a puzzling bid for permanent U.S. occupation years after the war was already effectively lost. Smart Cash is a peer-to-peer digital currency that is fast, secure, and easy to use. Smart Cash also features smart rewards, a price stabilization mechanism, and a way to encourage long-term holding. Long-term holders are key to the project's success. You can earn smart rewards on any address for which you hold the private keys, which holds at least 1,000 smart for 1 month and does not make any outgoing transactions during that time. Smart rewards are distributed every 47,500 blocks to all eligible addresses. Learn more at smartcash.cc. UPI reports the market for a little understood type of cannabis derived from the hemp plant is exploding in the United States. The sudden demand for the chemical called cannabidiol, or CBD, is being propelled by stories of it curing countless human health maladies. Some users claim it heals wounds, eliminates pain, defeats anxiety, cures cancers and Alzheimer's disease. The list goes on. In Florida, for example, Jim Strang said he gave CBD to a friend who had been exposed to Agent Orange, and the man's rash disappeared. He then gave it to another friend in a coma. She woke up. The hype has producers all over the country scrambling to get in early for the nascent market. Farmers are converting their fields to hemp and extracting the oils. Bakeries are infusing it into cakes and cookies. Companies are making CBD vape pens, lotions, and sprays. All the fervor has scientists loudly warning consumers to be skeptical. There's little to no scientific evidence that CBD can do the things some producers claim. That's partly because there have been very few studies of CBD, but the lack of real scientific data hasn't slowed the demand for CBD products. Shortly after hemp became legal, the FDA released a strongly worded statement warning producers that they cannot use health claims to sell CBD. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports an Alabama judge has voided a 2017 law preventing the removal or alteration of historical memorials, saying it infringed citizens' free speech rights and effectively enshrined a pro-Confederacy message into the southern U.S. state. The ruling was the latest blow in an ongoing national fight over memorials to the Confederacy, which lost the U.S. Civil War. Backers of the monuments call them a tribute to history and heritage, while opponents decry them as a powerful tribute to institutionalized racism. Jefferson County Circuit Judge Michael Graffio issued the ruling on the Alabama Memorial Preservation Act late on Monday, the last day of his term. Graffio said in the court ruling, under the act, however, the people of Birmingham cannot win. No matter how much they lobby city officials, the state has placed a thumb on the scale of a pro-Confederacy message, and the people acting through the city will never be able to disassociate themselves from that message entirely. The ruling resolves a year-long legal dispute in which Alabama sued the Birmingham city government to stop the city from trying to remove an obelisk dedicated to Confederate veterans from a downtown park. The city eventually covered it with wooden boards. The ruling blocks the state from enforcing the law, though state officials could appeal. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
While waiting to interview for a web consultant position with local marketing firm Bizco, applicant Ryan Ehrlich told Onion reporters he wasn't entirely sure he was dynamic enough for his prospective employer.
When I first saw that the agency was looking for a leader willing to contribute as a valued member of the team, I thought it was the perfect fit. But the more I think about it, the less I'm sure I'm actually an energetic self-starter. I mean, I think I'm a versatile independent thinker, but honestly, how do you even know for sure?
Ehrlich, who found Bizco's online job posting earlier this week, went on to express doubts that he truly possesses the forward-thinking instincts and next-generation idea assets required to work with the fast-paced marketing firm's team of self-starters.
Can I reimagine a brand for a digital landscape? Sure, but do I really have the energy, skills, enthusiasm, and passion to be a part of this dynamic, growth-oriented company? I just don't know. Oh God. who am I kidding? There's no way I'm on the cutting edge.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, launching into the second hour of the program. You can take control of the airwaves here. Our number is 855-450-FREE. We got news about Ocasio-Cortez, the new socialist, self-proclaimed socialist. What is she, a U.S. congressperson now?
Yes.
Vincent, you want to talk about that? That's coming up a little bit later. And also, Darryl, you want to get into fake news. That's coming up right around the corner. But first, we're going back to the phones. And to the fun, Sarah is on the line in New Mexico to start things out this hour. Hello, Sarah.
Yes. Hey, New Mexico, we came in number one again.
Oh.
But this time we're number one place for filmmakers.
Huh. That's a surprise. Not Hollywood?
Oh, we have to quadruple our tax bracket. This. Sorry, go ahead.
Netflix, after they got settled in here in Albuquerque, that gave us the number one rating. For
filmmakers. Are you sure it's number one, or is it like number one after Hollywood? Because, I mean, Hollywood's pretty big. I don't know if it's really true that I believe that New Mexico is number one. Like, how are they quantifying this number one? Do you have any idea?
Well, you know what? L.A. is out of the picture because they're too expensive. That's the reason that New Mexico, we got number one because of the cost.
Now, is this number one in the United States? Because I know there's a lot of production that moves to Canada. Because I guess the same union rules don't apply, from what I understand, up in Canada. And I don't know, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that, Vincent. But
that's why a lot of TV shows are filmed. Because also it's less expensive to film there because the U.S. even when the U.S. dollar wasn't better than the Canadian dollar. Also, you have the same kind of talent. You have it's cheaper to film in Vancouver.
Vancouver's big, right?
Yeah, because they could fill in for Detroit or New York.
Yeah. I've heard about that. I've heard they've been using Vancouver for a long time. So is it just in the United States that you're saying New Mexico's number one?
Yeah, I think it's the ranking within the 50 states.
Mm-hmm.
I found an article from the Albuquerque Journal, but they now require people to have a login to be able to read articles online. So I can't actually...
New Mexico debt to filmmakers approaches $250 million. Is it that one?
No.
Because that was from...
Title is... Albuquerque rises to number one in Moviemaker listing, but since I can't actually read the article, I guess I can try to read around some of the pop-ups here.
I mean, Netflix is big, right? Like, there's no doubt Netflix is a monster company, and the fact that they're moving productions to New Mexico certainly does give it a lot of oomph, I imagine, in the business of film production. So, I mean,
somehow I was able to get the pop-up to go away, telling me to pay them $10 a month. It says, according to Moviemaker, in 2009, there were 44 states offering some form of incentive, but retrenchment has pared that down to 31 as of 2018. New industry titan has emerged. Atlanta and some rival cities are being held in check by the disinterest of their state governments. Looking at you, Lone Star State, while others make the right moves to become a regional powerhouse, such as our pick for number one this year, Albuquerque.
How about that?
But again, they without going further down into the article, I don't know how they're saying it's number one.
Yeah.
Unless it's just we think that Albuquerque is the best place for doing stuff because of these credits. It doesn't say that movies made in Albuquerque have grossed more than movies made elsewhere.
That makes more sense to me, Darryl, that it would be the incentives, meaning that, hey, filmmakers, where's the best place to go make your movie? Not to say that the most movies are being made there, but that if you want incentives, subsidies, guaranteed access to certain locations or whatever it is that New Mexico is doing, they're saying that's the best place. There's also another story in Variety about New Mexico as a quote, state's strong incentives are luring Hollywood.
Those incentives might be in theory. I have one also. This is from December 18th, 2018, from the Albuquerque Journal. It says, New Mexico's backlog in unpaid incentives for the film industry could hit $250 million by the summer and reach $700 $700 million in 4 years, an amount that would take 14 years to pay off, even if filming stopped, a state economist said Monday.
Sarah, thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. Go to Vernon here in... Oh, sorry, Darryl,
but before we do, you had asked if this was just the U.S. or if it was U.S. and Canada, looking at the top 10 cities. Albuquerque, Atlanta, Vancouver, British Columbia, New York, L.A., Chicago, Toronto, Austin, Montreal, and Memphis, Tennessee. So 3 Canadian cities on this top 10 list.
Vernon, you're on. Go ahead.
So, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
So yesterday, y'all were talking about private security at airports.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are actually airports that have privately hired security.
Yes, there are.
Airports are not obligated to contract with the TSA. I think most airports just do because of the convenience factor. But yes, you can actually hire out to a private security company as long as they meet TSA standards.
Yep.
And so I was just curious. So they also said fly at your own risk, which actually brought a laugh to my. I laughed because like I couldn't imagine not wanting to be on an airplane that had not had their passengers screened for guns or weapons or anything like.
Wait, hold on. You couldn't imagine not. Wait. You couldn't imagine not wanting to, meaning
exactly
you want to be on. Just to clarify,
I would not want to be on a plane with people with guns or knives.
You wouldn't want to be on a plane.
You do realize that there's a high chance that you do fly on planes with people with guns right now.
You mean like a federal agent?
Yes.
Oh, air marshal.
Perhaps so. But I guess I could consider them more trustworthy in a sense than I could some random person, bringing a gun on the plane. I don't know. I mean, this is just my own personal opinion. Like, even if it was done privately.
So let me ask this question. Hold on. Let me ask this question. Do you think that people should generally be allowed to conceal carry?
Yeah, if you want to, but not on an airplane.
How about on a bus or walking down the sidewalk or sitting inside a restaurant?
I'm in a little hollow tube up in 30,000 feet above the air. On a sidewalk or on a bus, I could maybe jump out a window, or maybe I could jump away. You know what I mean? But like on an airplane, I mean, you are stuck, and there is no way out. And to me, it's just. And then if they're serving liquor, like that's another place I probably won't want to be at is a bar. I mean, I know that they have bars where you can open carry and everything, but still, I mean, I just don't feel comfortable being around drunks and guns. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
I think there's a lot of people who feel like you, and I think that if we actually had the marketplace responding to creating their own security devices and setups and all that, then most airlines would probably be like you're suggesting, which is to say they would restrict people from carrying guns on the flight. But maybe one of them would be willing to, allow some sort of form of weapons, or maybe
the first time they got hijacked or they crashed.
Ain't nobody going to hijack a plane with gun carriers on it, brother.
You know the best way to prevent hijacks from happening? Lock the door to the cockpit.
That's a good one.
There is a lock on that door.
Yeah, but what if you could shoot through it or something? I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, one single misplaced bullet could depressurize the entire. All it has to do is one bullet could go through a window or something, and it depressurizes the whole thing like it's snakes on a plane. So it would be a suicide. It would be a suicide.
Wait a minute.
Suicide pact.
Does it really do like it does in the movies? Because I feel like we've addressed this before, and that's overblown.
Mythbusters did a thing. It will depressurize, but it doesn't do the thing of a bullet through a window causes a massive hole on the side of the plane.
Right. So
seriously,
it's going to depressurize, but you could put something over the hole and then land the plane.
Emergency land.
Right.
Well, that's why all the masks come out so you could breathe.
Yeah. Go ahead, Vernon.
Ian, so on your flight to Mexico, would you seriously be comfortable riding on a plane with a bunch of people carrying weapons? I mean, especially guns.
Yes, I live in New Hampshire where people carry guns basically everywhere. I've been in parking lots. I've been in restaurants. I've seen people sort of inadvertently flashing their concealed guns. Dude unzips his coat at a restaurant. Right. You can see it, on the inside. Or I literally had a dude in a parking lot get out of his car, rack his gun, and put it in his pants. This was back when it was illegal to actually carry a gun in a car if you didn't have a permit or whatever. Now they've changed that. Now you can do it. But I mean, he was literally handling a gun in the the parking lot. And, he was safe about it. He didn't point it at anybody. It's all good. But if you're around people with guns, then they actually help keep you safe. So if you're on a plane, thank you, Vernon, for the call. If you're on a plane and there's actually guns being carried by the people of that plane, and somebody has it in their head they want to take that plane over, that's going to last all of 5 seconds. They're not going to even make it to the cockpit. There's more coming up here in moments. This is Free Talk Live.
You want to know the 37 items you must have to survive a crisis? Then I've got some good news for you. Former CIA officer and New York Times best-selling author Jason Hansen is now giving listeners a free copy of his book, The Escape Bag Blueprint, 37 Items You Must Have to Survive a Crisis. You can claim your copy at freeescapebook.com. Don't delay. Jason reveals the guns, knives, flashlights, and water filters that could save your life in an economic collapse or grid-down event. Get your free book today, freeescapebook.com. freeescapebook.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Smart Cash is a peer-to-peer digital currency that is fast, secure, and easy to use. Smart Cash is building a foundation that can support daily transactions for people everywhere. One feature that sets Smart Cash apart is the Smart Hive governance model and how the community can vote to fund the best projects with block rewards stored in the Smart Hive project treasury. Unlike other cryptocurrencies with voting systems, Smart Cash allows everyone to participate. One smart equals one vote. Learn more at smartcash.cc.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
LRN.FM now has a Discord. Discord is a free text and voice chat platform, and we now have our own server with a bunch of channels at discord.lrn.fm. You can join other listeners as they chat about various things during our live shows, or anytime, day or night. Discord software is available cross-platform, so you can have it on whatever device you want and take your chats anywhere. Join our Discord at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
What's up next? Visit the Liberty Radio Network program guide to find out at shows.lrn.fm. That's shows.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You dial toll free. You bring up anything you want. Our number, It's 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Still to come, we got to talk about fake news and who's spreading it around. Darryl's got the story about that. But we were just talking with a caller a moment ago, I think it was Vernon, who'd called in about fears surrounding being on an airline with other passengers who may be armed. Now, personally, I wouldn't mind being on an airline with other passengers who might be armed because, for the most part, people who are armed tend to take it pretty seriously. They know that they have the ability to end somebody's life, and they are very, very cautious. Some would say that actually having a gun makes you less likely to get into a fight.
Right, it's like society is a polite society.
Mm-hmm.
To some extent, I slightly disagree with the semantics of that. But, if somebody, say, a third-degree black belt in jiu-jitsu, they're not going to go around picking fights because they know that they could seriously hurt somebody or kill them.
Yeah. So we're talking about airlines, airports. Actually, Mark just got off an airplane. Mark, who is our one of our normal co-hosts here on Free Talk Live, he's been flying today. And I asked him, knowing that he was going to be flying, and we've been talking about the TSA call-outs, how the numbers of TSA agents who've been just calling in sick have doubled what they normally are. Like we read a story last night. Normally, it's about 3-ish% or so, and it's now like 7+% that are calling out. So there's a large number of TSA agents that are calling out. TSA is trying to downplay it, saying, oh, yeah, it's no big deal. It hasn't really impacted anything. Most people don't have to wait more than 15, 30 minutes in line. But down at the Atlanta airport, they were clocking in at more than 60 minutes in the lines. Now, Atlanta is apparently the busiest airport in the United States, so there is that.
Busiest in the world, I believe.
But Mark is, I think you might be right. But Mark is actually on the line with us right now on our Discord server, on the Discord on-air call-in line rooms from Miami, where he's at the North American Bitcoin Conference for the next couple days, ending on the 18th. So if you want to meet Mark and stop by the Bitcoin.com booth, he's going to be hanging out there, I guess, for a good portion of it. And he's hard to miss. He now has green hair. So just look for the guy wearing a suit with green hair. Oh, no, wait. You're going to be wearing your king outfit, Mark?
Yeah, I intend to wear the king outfit tomorrow.
But you're going to have your hair on display, right? For others, you're not going to cover it up with like a king.
I'm not even sure I brought the one crown. I have a particular crown that I like with that king outfit. I'm not sure I brought that one. I do have my other plush crown.
Okay.
So.
And you're there with the family, and you're going to be hanging out at the Bitcoin.com pop-up store. They'll be setting people up with Bitcoin Cash and showing them how to use the Bitcoin.com wallet. Now, of course, you don't have to go to Miami to get the Bitcoin.com wallet. You can just go to wallet.bitcoin.com and get it there. And then if you want to load it up with a little bit of free BCH, Bitcoin Cash, you just go to free.bitcoin.com. So check it out over there, Bitcoin.com. It's your one-stop shop for all things crypto. So, Mark, give us the TSA report. What'd you do? Fly out of Hartford?
Yeah, flew out of Hartford, nonstop to Fort Lauderdale.
Mm-hmm. And
showed up at the airport and brought my heavy bags full of radio equipment and had to pay extra at Spirit. I thought I'd check the bag for whatever that fee is, and then another $30 because it was 9 pounds, 49 pounds instead of 40 pounds.
Oh, interesting. Now, Spirit's one of these cheapy nickel-dime you kind of...
They nickel and dime you to death, and if you want, say, a window seat,
pay extra.
You can pay for a seat assignment prior to getting to the airport.
Okay.
Otherwise, once you get to the airport, they just randomly assign you a seat. But, like, I've got back problems. The middle seat or the aisle seat don't really work for me. A window seat, I can at least, kind of like slouch to the side. The one time I flew Spirit, I noticed that their seats don't recline.
Ooh.
Nope. Plastic molded.
Packing them in like sardines.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I'm ready to pay $69 for a seat and then pay for the upgrades along the way, because a lot of times I'm not checking a bag.
Mm-hmm.
They charge you for a carry-on.
Do they?
They sure do. But you get a personal item.
Okay.
Every airline allows you, the personal, you shove it under the seat. Right. They're like, oh, you want to put something in the overhead bin? $35. If you forgot to pay,
go to Fly Southwest.
If you forgot to pay for the carry-on, and then you remember when you get to the airport, it's like $100.
Nope.
Man.
So
Mark
you
likes
have
to
two
razz
chances
me
to pay
for being
your
cheap,
carry-on.
but
You can
I'm
pay
telling
for it
you.
when you buy your ticket. You can pay for it when you're getting your ticket from the little kiosk. You can pay for it if you're early enough at the desk. And then if you're trying to walk in with a carry-on, you're like, you don't know the rules. Yep, you're gonna get. You're gonna get clobbered. I think it's for $55.
Okay, I know the one time that I flew, it said that if you don't pay online prior to getting to the airport, it's $100.
So you flew with them once and then never again.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the only reason I bought the ticket with them is it was like $70 cheaper than the next thing.
But you didn't know.
And then after, I've got to pay for this, I've got to pay for that. The only thing that they don't charge you for is using the bathroom because they've not found a way to charge people for using the bathroom.
They don't want people to have a mess because that's going to happen. If you just keep charging people for the bathroom, somebody's going to try to hold it.
I'll pee in a bucket.
It's not going to work. All right, so Mark, what was the TSA experience like? Because last night we talked about the lines allegedly getting longer, but TSA is trying to downplay it, saying there's no real impact in most airports. So what was your experience? You've flown out of Hartford before. How did it compare?
It was the fastest I've ever gone through the line.
Wow.
Yeah,
Did you pay the $7 to wind up getting the Spirit pre-check thing?
Nope, it's $6, and I did not pay it.
Wow.
Just,
So
what
cheap.
do I got? I got plenty of time. And so, sure, I'm not going to pay that extra. I'm not paying $5 extra for nothing.
Was there
You know
any,
me.
did you feel as
Cheap
though
by
the TSA was reduced in numbers at that airport, or was it pretty standard looking to you?
I could have cut half that crew. They were standing around chatting.
Huh. All right, interesting.
I mean, whatever. Maybe the managers are calling everybody in so that when people call out, they still have a big enough crew. It's probably creating a managerial nightmare. But what I saw, and I sat there afterwards because I knew you'd be grilling me. I sat there and watched them. After they got to see my green hair, they probably thought I was stalking them or something.
Yeah, they don't like it when you watch them.
And what was that?
I said they don't like it when you watch them. That's suspicious behavior.
Well, they don't like people with green hair either.
Right.
And so I sat there and I watched, and I saw just a bunch of people standing around.
All right. So things are as normal, if not faster than normal, at the very least at the Hartford airport. There's your TSA report.
Now,
from
one
Mark.
thing that I find interesting is I've seen several reports that air traffic controllers, who also currently aren't getting paid, they're not having the same call-out problems.
Interesting. Maybe they're just
they probably
more
take their
dedicated.
job a little more seriously. Theirs is important.
Maybe they're better at saving their money, too. Hey, thanks, Mark. Anything else you want to share real fast? Go ahead.
Nope, that's it. I'm just looking forward to the North American Bitcoin Conference tomorrow. Anybody wants to come out and see me, I should be upstairs by the green room doing interviews.
All right, excellent.
Green room for the man with the green hair.
Yeah, that's perfect. Mark, thanks for the call, and thanks for the update on the TSA. We appreciate that. There's more on the way with your calls and thoughts. You're welcome to join us. Sounding good there, by the way, on the Discord on-air call-in line room. You can sound that good, almost like you're sitting here in the studio with us. All you got to do is join our Discord server. Just go to discord.lrn.fm, and this is Free Talk Live. We got more coming up. Your call's welcome.
This is George Norrie from Coast to Coast AM and History Channel's Ancient Aliens. We support the amazing energy, nutrition, and skincare products from Jeunesse. Jeunesse products are designed by leading doctors in their field with natural ingredients and even stem cell technology. These products help your body perform and look better. Shop Jeunesse at gcnlife.com or call 1-844-443-6637. gcnlife.com or 844-443-6637.
Hi, I'm Dan Pilla. I started fighting the IRS over 40 years ago when they tried to seize my mother's house. I sued the IRS and won. I beat the IRS then, and I've been beating them ever since. I wrote the book on tax debt settlement, and I've helped thousands of people deal with tax problems they thought might never be solved. I can help you too. If you owe taxes you can't pay, don't wait another day. There's no such thing as a hopeless tax case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX or go to my website, danpilla.com. That's danpilla.com, danpilla.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
Join the LRN.FM Discord for live chat 24/7 at discord.lrn.fm. That's discord.lrn.fm.
Yeah, it's Free Talk Live. You dial toll-free and join us here on the radio if you want. The number's 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Coming up, fake news and who is guilty of spreading it more than anybody else. Darryl's got some of the numbers on that. We'll share it with you coming up. And you, of course, can take control of the airwaves. That's the point on Free Talk Live as we go to the phones, in this case to the Discord on-air call-in line. The first one, where Galactose is on the line.
Yeah, it's Vine Ripened Galactose, a.k.a. Mortified Pigman from Virginia.
What's up?
Just giving you a call. Mr. Freeman, I was in the studio tonight. Is there a lingering scent of burnt sulfur in the air?
No. From
last night? Yeah, well, I wanted to call about property rights, and namely the Hoppian ANCAPs and ethnostaters and National Socialists and such that claims to be so intently anti-communist and to be fighting a fight against communists, when I see the strongest authoritarian communists, and I don't say that lightly like a lot of, voluntarist types, but I see the really strong authoritarian communist traits coming from them. Namely, a group of people that will claim that a given landmass is the collective property of a certain race of people, and it's a collective property, and obviously based on authoritarianism and force, and they have the right as a collective, as a group, to defend that property, quote unquote, to remove people from that property that they deem unfit, and so on. So I just think it's really hypocritical for a group of so-called anti-communists to be the only real functionally communist people spouting nonsense in the political realm.
Well,
So
I mean,
that's
they're not technically communists, but they are statists. They're arch statists, and they're violent statists, and so they're just as bad in that way as the communists that they claim to hate. And you're referring to an interview that we conducted, Johnson and I, along with Aria DeMezzo last night, of one Christopher Cantwell, who was in for a special episode of an after show that shall remain nameless at this point. But that was what happened last night, and he revealed very clearly that he's an arch statist. He even says that, when I'm writing up a piece for Free Keen about it, that he even says, I think, quote, "I want to be the government." And like,
L'état c'est moi. That's exactly what the Sun King said.
He has completely embraced the idea of the state, has completely rejected the ideas
Did
of
he call himself
liberty.
a nationalist?
I didn't ask him specifically, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did. I mean, he certainly allies himself with those people. But I think the funny
he
thing
went
is,
way beyond nationalists.
to me, he's no different than Amanda Bolden, who was a Free State Project participant who moved to New Hampshire, who was a self-proclaimed anarchist. Chris was also a self-proclaimed anarchist. And Amanda Bolden, instead of going to the right, as Chris has done, she went to the left and became hostile, like verbally hostile towards libertarians. She's not just like somebody who... there's another young lady who was also a Free Stater who went kind of to the left, Elizabeth Edwards. But Elizabeth Edwards, in a blog post, she kind of explained her mentality and why she'd gone the direction she had, and still expressed that she was still friends with her libertarian friends. Amanda Bolden has completely kicked every libertarian, that I know of, to the curb, and has actually
going
insulted
so far
them.
as to say that she regretted allowing libertarians to work with Shire Sharing.
Her charity, which helped feed people, and it was libertarians who basically funded and volunteered and made that possible for her. So yeah, she's completely gone against what brought her here in the first place. So she's sort of like the leftist version of Chris Cantwell. She's certainly nowhere near as shrill and as offensive, on her face as Chris, but they both have the same belief. They both have the belief that their way is the right way, and that their way should be enforced at the threat of violence. And that's ultimately, so you can't really call Chris a communist because he doesn't believe in communism, but he certainly does believe in the use of the state and the violence of the state to enforce his way upon people, with deadly force if necessary.
It does seem like he embraces a collective ownership of property based on ethnic or racial lines, and to some extent, that's I think exactly authoritarian communism.
Well, I don't think that he would call it collective ownership. I think that he would say it would be private property, and and if it is private property, then you should have whatever rules you want on that.
And the private
property.
collective is the state.
In this case, he does believe in the state, so yeah.
Oh, I think trying to label one like communism or fascism, I think both are just the end result of not even extreme, just regular authoritarianism. It's like in 1984, it said the fascist, the dictatorship, whether it's fascist or communist, isn't the safeguard of a revolution. The revolution is the safeguard of a dictatorship.
Mm-hmm.
It's 1984, George Orwell.
That's a good quote. Penguin?
Yeah, I should have paid more attention to that in school.
They made you read it in school?
Yeah, in high school. So that was pretty cool, though.
Yeah, they didn't make me read that one. They did have some Orwell book. What was it? Animal Farm?
Oh, and that was
I
the
think
only one.
I think it was the AP English lit class where I went to school. Read Animal Farm.
So, anything else you want to share with your thoughts on that, Penguin?
No, just that. Just kind of wanted to spit it out. I kind of forgot that line of thinking last night, but I've definitely heard that line of thinking, expressed, and it totally kind of clicked when hearing that guy talk.
Thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you.
Now, there's a quote from a nonfiction piece here from Frederick Bastiat.
The Law?
From The Law. He uses the term protectionism to describe what is essentially fascism, but the word fascism didn't exist when he wrote this.
Gotcha.
He says it should be pointed out, however, that protectionism, socialism, and communism are basically the same plant in 3 different stages of its growth. All that can be said is that legal plunder is more visible in communism because it is complete plunder, and in protectionism because the plunder is limited to specific groups and industries. Thus, it follows that of the 3 systems, socialism is the vaguest, the most indecisive, and consequently the most sincerest stage of development.
That was a good book. I remember that one. It's a short one, too, so anybody that wants to read a good old book, it's not too hard. You know, there's a lot of older books, kind of the language is a little hard to follow. That one wasn't that one. I didn't find it difficult.
Right, and I think the English translation of this is within the last, 50, 60 years.
Oh, so they used more recent verbiage. That makes sense. I didn't even think that it was originally written in, French or something like
French.
that?
The original title was La Loi.
La Loi, L-O...
L-E-L-O-I.
Gotcha.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't speak French, so I'm just going to, pronounce it how I pronounce it.
But Vincent does, so it's good that we have him here. If you want to comment, you're welcome to join us. The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. So a lot of people feel very strongly about the interview that happened last night. It is available on our Twitch channel right now. At some point, I'll extract it to the YouTube so it doesn't get deleted. I do know that people feel very strongly about the person we interviewed, Chris Cantwell, and I expected some people to be upset about it, but I think it was an important interview because it lets him speak for himself, but in a place where he's challenged on his views. Johnson and I were in the studio. We're very familiar with him. We did a show with him a few years previous, and so it was almost like a kind of a recap or an update to that. We get to find out what had happened to him in recent months since he was in jail down in Charlottesville, Virginia, so we kind of recapped that story to an extent. And then we got into just a bizarre... some of the interview was just so flummoxing and confusing. I mean, having him being a libertarian in the past and now no longer being a libertarian, he holds these views. One of them, his view on prohibition, is just, it's hard to even really explain. On one hand, he uses cannabis, which he admits to, but on the other hand, he says that he thinks prohibition should continue. On the other hand, now we're on 3 hands now, but on the other hand, he says that he sees the value in harm reduction, and further that he believes that that he sees the value and that there would be like a 90%, it would be like, I forget the term he used, but he seemed to also see the value in decriminalization. But when I asked him if he supported decriminalization, he said no. So he has all these weird, very just confusing views on prohibition, all the while fully supporting the idea that prohibiting things can somehow stop their use, even though he knows from his own personal experience that that's not true. So that's just one example of how bizarre the conversation was, and frustrating as well. It's Free Talk Live.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
A doctor's office visit for erectile dysfunction on my smartphone? That's crazy.
No, that's thebestedpill.com. ED can affect 40% of men by age 40. Now there's a 95% less expensive option than Viagra. After a live confidential video consult with a fully licensed doctor, we ship medicines fast, free, and direct in discreet packaging. Read thousands of 5-star reviews. Click thebestedpill.com. That's THE bestedpill.com, the online doctor's office.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
A new report from the Department of Health and Human Services urges Americans to do something, anything at all. According to the study, getting off your ass and doing any sort of physical or mental activity could have positive health effects.
Look, we're not expecting you to go to the gym. That's clearly not happening. Just walk outside for a few blocks and then come back home. You can bring potato chips if that's what it'll take.
For many years, the health department has encouraged Americans to watch less TV, but this report reverses that, saying, quote, watch whatever the hell you want, but at least pay attention and remember who the characters are, or just admire the colors. Colors are pretty. It's expected that following the advice in this report will cut down on the largest cause of death among Americans, laying on your back until your mouth fills up with saliva and you drown. Following the report's release, the most popular exercise now seems to be masturbating, but researchers warn that if you do it in public, stick to the sidewalk or you might get hit by cars.
This is the Onion News Network.
Did you know we've taken our LRN.FM telephone listen line to a new level with the LRN.FM audio on demand line? Now you can call 712-770-8447 anytime and listen to LRN.FM's live feed. And you can listen to a bunch of our original shows on demand. Long distance fees may apply. Just dial 712-770-8447 and choose from the menu. 712-770-8447.
We've all heard about blockchain assets like Dogecoin, Ether, and Ripple. Bitcoin isn't the only player in the blockchain game any longer. And for those of us wondering how to get our hands on these digital assets, finally, there's a solution. Shapeshift.io allows you to buy and sell between your digital assets and Bitcoin instantly between your own digital wallets. I've used it with ease. Shapeshift.io. There's no account or email address needed. You send them the crypto you want to sell. They send back the crypto you want to buy. It's that easy. Shapeshift.io.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live, and you can bring up anything that you want. Our number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've also got the Discord, on-air call-in line rooms. Darryl, can you tell me about Smart Cash?
Yes, I can. It's a newer cryptocurrency. I say newer. It's been around for
a couple years?
About a year and a half, I think. And, you know, like most cryptocurrencies, they say that they're peer-to-peer. They're obviously a digital currency. They're fast, secure, and easy to use. And by easy to use, you know, I mean, they've got an app for your smartphone. They've got, you know, GUI applications that you can use on laptops. You know, if you want to do command line, you can. But you're not required to. They do make it easy. And they're trying to make it easy because they want people to actually use Smart Cash.
Dude, it could not be any easier. You've got a proposal in right now over there on the Smart Cash proposals site.
Yes.
And I booted up the Smart Cash app on my laptop, and then I clicked on the proposal and voted on it. I mean, there was no, like, you don't have to, like, go through some sort of registration process or any of that stuff. It's just right there in the app.
Yeah, and you mentioned the voting system where one smart equals one vote. If you've got 10,000 smart, that's 10,000 votes. So your vote is weighted based on the number of smart that you have.
Yep.
Whereas some of the other cryptocurrencies that have voting systems, if you don't have 10,000 or however many, you don't get
qualify
to vote.
No, you can't.
And then let's say it's one of those where you need 10,000, you've got 20,000. Unless you have those in separate wallets, you get one vote that is one vote.
Mm-hmm.
Again, here, One smart is one vote.
Yep.
And they also have smart rewards, which we should find out in about a week and a half, Ian.
Yeah, I think so.
If our wallets qualified, which they should have.
Yeah.
I think we just got in too late in November to qualify for the rewards that came out in December.
Right, they're once a month.
Once a month, and you need to hold at least 1,000 smart, again, for at least 1 month.
And that's less than $20 right now for 1,000 smart.
Yeah, it's like $14. Right. And you need to not have any outgoing transactions from that wallet during the time period from when they take the snapshot until they issue the rewards. And the rewards are sent out every 47,500 blocks, which again is roughly a month. And you also need to keep the smart in an address that you control the private keys to. So if you have them
Which is most wallets.
Right. Yeah. Well, if you have in an exchange, that's not eligible. Right. There might be a wallet somewhere that doesn't give you access to the private keys, but as long as you control the private keys, then you're eligible as long as, again, at least 1,000 smart and no outgoing transactions during the month, as long as you hit the snapshot date.
Smartcash.cc is where you can go to learn more. It's a pretty nice looking site too, so it's easy to navigate. Check it out, smartcash.cc. So you can bring up whatever you want here. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. There's breaking news, by the way, this evening about a Georgia man being arrested for allegedly plotting to attack the White House. That is a developing story. We might check in on that coming up in the third hour. But, Darryl, you wanted to get into the fake news issue, specifically who has been sharing fake news.
Yeah, and, it's fairly interesting, I think.
And according to whom?
Story here is from the Associated Press. It's an ABC 6 channel that is reporting here, but they cite Associated Press. And there was actually some study that was done by Princeton University and NYU. They get into, I'll just jump into the article. They say sharing fake news on Facebook is old. People over 65 and ultra-conservatives shared about 7 times more fake information masquerading as news on the social media site than younger adults, moderates, and super liberals during the 2016 election season, according to a new study. The first major study to look at who is sharing links from debunked sites finds that not many people are doing it. On average, only 8.5% of those studied, about 1 person out of 12, actually shared fake news during the 2016 campaign, according to the study that was recently published in the journal Science Advances. But those doing it tend to be older and more conservative.
Does that mean they're more gullible? Because they're just being fooled by the fake news, presumably?
There are some quotes here, and then they do, again, cite the study several times. Study co-author Jonathan Nagler, a politics professor and co-director of the Social Media and Political Participation Lab at NYU, said for something to be viral, you've got to know who shares it. Wow, old people are much more likely than young people to do this. Facebook and other social media companies were caught off guard in 2016 when Russian agents, more likely Russian bots, were exploiting their platform to meddle with the U.S. presidential election by spreading fake news, impersonating Americans, and running targeted advertising to try to sway votes. Since then, the companies have thrown millions of dollars and thousands of people into fighting fake news. Researchers at Princeton University and NYU in 2016 interviewed 2,711 people who used Facebook. Of those, nearly half agreed to share all their postings with the professors.
Okay.
The researchers used 3 different lists for fake news sites, one compiled by BuzzFeed and 2 others from academic research teams, and counted how often people shared from those sites.
So they grabbed the database, because Facebook will let you actually export all the data that they ostensibly have.
The fact they use BuzzFeed as a source or any sort of I'm not saying it's fake. I'm just saying the fact that they use BuzzFeed as any sort of authority already casts my doubts. But.
Then to double check,
they ran through the database with the cross-checking to see did any of the URLs they shared match up. Basically.
Right. Then to double check, they looked at 897 specific articles that had been found false by fact checkers and saw how often those were spread. All those lists showed similar trends. When other demographic factors and overall posting tendencies are factored in, the average person over 65 shared more fake information than those between 18 and 29. The seniors shared more than twice as many fake stories as people between 45 and 64, and more than 3 times that of people in the 30 to 44-year range. The simplest theory for why older people shared more fake information is a lack of digital literacy, said study co-author Joshua Tucker, also co-director of the NYU Social Media Political Lab.
Probably that's a big factor, but on the other hand, it's probably also because elderly folks, a lot of them are easily taken advantage of. There are, and have been for many years, before the internet, a lot of scams, for instance, that will target older folks, people who might be suffering from early onsets of dementia or Alzheimer's. They're just not as with it as they once were, and therefore are easily able to be taken advantage of by a criminal who might want to empty their bank account or charge them for some sort of service they never actually ordered, but tries to convince them that they actually did order it and that they owe him money, or, there's all kinds of these things.
Researchers said seniors may not tell truth from lies on social networks as easily as others. Harvard Public Policy and Communications professor Matthew Baum, who was not part of the study but praised it, said he thinks sharing fake information is, quote, less about beliefs in the facts of a story than about signaling one's partisan identity. That's why efforts to correct fakery don't really change attitudes, and one reason why few people share fake information. When other demographics and posting practices were factored in, people who self-identified as very conservative shared the most false information.
Now, the alleged fake news was sort of designed to target those people, right? I mean, they were the people who were purportedly the ones who were intended to be fooled. Right? How much of the fake news was sort of targeted at conservatives versus fake news that was targeted at liberals?
They don't mention that.
Yeah, I mean, and how would we really know anyway? But if the claim was that the Russians were trying to manipulate, et cetera, then maybe they were the intended target demographic.
Right. The very conservative people in this study shared misinformation 6.8 times more likely or more often than the self-identified very liberal, and 6.7 times more than moderates.
I mean, if you came up with fake news that had to do with Kanye West and what's his wife's name?
Kim Kardashian.
Kim Kardashian. If it was about...
Why do I know that?
If it was about something Kanye did that was completely fabricated,
right,
then it would probably be shared more often by younger people who care about those people than it would by older people who probably don't even know who Kanye West is. You've got more?
There is more, yes.
On fake news. And what's the difference between fake news and satire? There's more on the way here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. If you want to join us, you can take control of the airwaves. Hour 3 is next. Free Talk Live.
Marijuana has unleashed a green gold rush across our nation. It's creating $10.8 billion in new wealth a year. And every day, it's transforming more and more Americans into millionaires. In an historic event, former Speaker of the House John Boehner reveals how you could become one of them. Join him online for the American Cannabis Summit. Attendance is 100% free, but space is limited. To secure your spot, text JOIN to 76280. This event is the first of its kind ever. John Boehner and an esteemed panel will reveal which cannabis stocks are primed to deliver life-changing windfalls in the weeks and months ahead. Plus, they will show you how to become a cannabis angel investor, backing the hottest startups before they potentially become worth billions of dollars. To join American Cannabis Summit, text JOIN to 76280. Attendance is free. Text JOIN to 76280. Text JOIN to 76280.
When you hear the word lobbyist, you probably think about greedy corporations, but not all lobbyists are the same. Some are fighting for the freedoms you hold dear. Liberty Lobby LLC is doing just that in New Hampshire, working hard to represent you, not some special interest group. You can help by going to libertylobby.info, where your contribution will give us the tools we need to ensure that your voice is heard. Visit libertylobby.info today to find out more.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is the Liberty Beat, your daily source for Liberty news and activist updates. Produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Find us online at snls.news. I'm Mick Murrow with the Liberty Beat for Wednesday, January 16th, 2019. Gold opened today at $1,290. Silver opened the day at $15.51. And Bitcoin is trading around $3,608. Today's prices are brought to you by CMM Digital, supplying cinematic video production. When quality is your highest priority, CMM Digital delivers. Visit them today at cmmdigital.space. In the news, last weekend, members and owners of multiple alternative media outlets gathered in Houston, Texas, to discuss corporate and government censorship and how to stop it. The Free Thought Project is calling the meeting a success, with the common theme being peaceful voices refusing to be silenced. On October 11th of 2018, Facebook and Twitter deleted the pages of Free Thought Project and Police to Police, which had over 5 million followers. During that purge, also removed were hundreds of other pages with massive followings, like the Anti-Media, Cop Block, and Filming Cops. The Free Thought Project co-founder, Jason Bassler, and Conscious Resistance founder, Derek Brose, organized the United for Common Ground Summit in Houston to plan a strategy to fight back. The event was attended by numerous alternative media organizations and individuals. During the summit, those with potential solutions to fight the censorship presented their ideas to the group, who then held a roundtable discussion to decide how best to move forward and carry out the solutions. One such solution is the migration to other platforms that do not censor their members. In attendance during the weekend forum was Bill Ottman, the founder of Minds.com, with that platform becoming a center of discussion during the forum. The Liberty Beat is sponsored in part by Brave Botanicals, high-quality kratom and CBD at reasonable prices with excellent customer service. Brave Botanicals is activist-owned and mission-driven, fighting for your right to consume plant-based medicine and natural remedies. Find out more details at mybravebotanicals.com. And Liberty Beat listeners right now can save big using promo code SNLS. You'll receive 10% off your purchase at mybravebotanicals.com. This is the Liberty Beat for Wednesday, January 16th, 2019. Find us online at snls.news. The news now continues. The Ring doorbell camera system could be an invasion of your privacy. That's according to a report from the New York Post, which says the smart home company owned by Amazon, which the internet retail giant shelled out more than $1 billion to acquire, has apparently been violating its customers' privacy in a shocking way. A new report from The Intercept quotes unnamed sources who confirm that engineers and executives at Ring have highly privileged access to live customer camera feeds, utilizing both Ring's doorbells as well as its in-home cameras. All that's apparently required to tap into the live feeds is a customer's email address, meaning the company has been egregiously lax when it comes to security and privacy, that even people outside the company could have potentially done that, using merely an email address to begin spying on customers, according to the report. Within the company, a team that was supposed to have been focused on helping Ring get better at object recognition in videos caught customers in videos doing everything from kissing to firing guns and stealing. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio is rolling out a new plan that would potentially allow the city government to seize buildings of landlords who force tenants out. Fox News reports that de Blasio, in his State of the City address last week, announced he wants to take action against landlords who try to force tenants out by making the property unlivable, and pulled out an executive order to create a mayor's office to protect tenants. He said that in the event the government intervenes, the buildings would then be controlled by a, quote, community nonprofit, end quote. Support for the Liberty Beat comes from the Conscious Resistance Network, featuring videos, news reports, and articles from a spiritual anarchist perspective. Experience the Conscious Resistance at theconsciousresistance.com. How would you like to have your business featured on the Liberty Beat? You can. It's simple. Send an email to libertybeat@SNLS News for details. This is the Liberty Beat, produced in partnership with SNLS News and listeners like you. Online at snls.news. Coming soon to the SNLS Network is The Bones of Anarchy, a podcast produced by activist Tony Bones. I'm Mick Murrow, reporting for the Liberty Beat on this Wednesday, January 16th, 2019, reminding you, spread liberty with a smile.
A reclusive deity hasn't written a new book in 2,000 years, and a local rescue dog is adopted for a couple weeks. This is the Onion Week in Review. This week, in a devastating blow to the nation's laundry, 16,000 Americans were reportedly stained during the messiest day in U.S. history. Reports confirm that nearly 3,000 citizens received permanent stains on their good shirt from mustard splatter off a dropped hot dog, along with 12,000 cases of spilled coffee and other dark beverages, ruining Americans' pair of hand-wash-only pants. Government officials further indicated that federal assistance for the nation's overwhelmed dry cleaners would be necessary. And in this week's local news, an elderly Rite Aid patron stretches out a conversation about toothpaste to prolong human contact. In other news, artifacts discovered buried in Washington, D.C. suggest humans once passed laws there. A self-centered child blames his parents' divorce entirely on himself. And a night of uninterrupted sleep really throws off a man's entire day.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, and you can dial in toll free here. Our number, it's 855-450, free like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. We've got the Discord on-air call-in line rooms over there for you as well, over at discord.lrn.fm. Just jump in any one of those that you want. We'll get you on the air, and you'll sound almost like you are sitting in the studio here with us. It's Ian.
Vincent.
And Darryl.
Coming up here tonight, Vincent, you've got a story about this Ocasio-Cortez, the new socialist, self-avowed socialist U.S. representative from, I think, New York State?
Yes.
If I recall correctly. So we can get into that. She apparently wants to give a fist to, or give a fisting to.
She wants to run a train.
Run a train,
Run
that's
a
right.
train on
the progressive movement. So we can we can get into that coming up here in moments. Let's go first, though, to the phones. To the phone, we got David in New Mexico. He says he's calling from jail. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, David.
Yeah, hey, Bubba, give me that soap. Yeah.
Funny.
Hey, am I on?
I'm pretty sure they don't actually let you have the phone in the bathroom, but
rape is real, David.
Yeah, it's not funny.
Man, they got the prison rape something act here, so we're all protected, man.
Are you actually calling from jail?
Of course, I'm calling from jail, man. You said I was going to jail, so would you be wrong?
Well, sure, I can be wrong. And no, I didn't say for sure you were going to jail. You had called last night saying that you were arrested for having missed a court date. You did a failure to appear, as they call it in court. You were then arrested, brought in front of the court, and the court, instead of arraigning you right then, set another date for another arraignment. And you told us last night that today was going to be the day for that arraignment, and that you intended to skip that arraignment as well, so that you intended to, again, purposefully miss court a second time. And I said, you know, there's a chance you're going to jail, because if you keep telling a judge you're going to be somewhere and, you know, going to be in court and you don't go more than once, it's likely that they're going to ratchet up the penalties on you for that. They could hit you with a jail sentence for what they call contempt of court, and that can be for as little as a night, and it can be for as long in many states as 6 months without any kind of check. I mean, they can do longer than 6 months, but then they have to answer to some panel of other judges in that case. So I guess you're calling to brag because you missed a court date without getting arrested quite yet?
Oh, probably, yeah. Oh, hey, first of all, as an airline transport pilot, I would prefer by 100 miles that every single passenger be armed behind me than that nobody was armed.
Okay.
So there's that. And cell phones in prisons. I've seen on a dozen occasions prisoners in Florida and one other southern state broadcasting live on the internet from inside the prison with cell phones, smartphones that they bought from prison guards.
I knew a guy who was able to get not only the components to make a tattoo gun or whatever it's called, but he was able to get an Xbox put in his jail, and he was in some he was in like some
Really?
I think he said it was one of the southern prisons, and he said he made moonshine in prison. He made all sorts of stuff.
Yep, they do that. Yep, that's true.
But I'm still stuck. So why would you skip? Because obviously we hear people getting beating whatever charges because a cop doesn't show up to their court dates. But why would you miss a court date when you say you're going to be there? Isn't that very rude? Why would you do such a thing?
Well, because as I was telling Ian, I had filed a perfectly valid, very critical motion, and the judge just flat out ignored the motion. And required me to show up, and that was something that I was going to end up taking to the federal court. But like I said, we happened to know who the pro tem judge was going to be today, and we knew his the way that he behaved in the courtroom, and he did exactly as we predicted, and honored the motion, and did not require me to be in attendance or sanction me for failing to appear. I did fail to appear. But what he did is he just threw out my hearing and rescheduled it for later, so that there's time to consider the various motions that I had filed.
So just to be clear, your attorney went into the courtroom, but you weren't present.
The public defender went into the courtroom, yes.
Okay. Well, that's a little bit different because then you have your legal representation there in court, and they can make motions on your behalf.
But I wasn't there, and the judge that had denied my motion specifically said she wanted my physical body in the courtroom, and that she would not reconsider that. And I was directly defying that because of all of the different things that I knew, and it turned out I was correct.
Gotcha. Well, good for you. So where's this go from here, David?
So now they'll schedule another hearing somewhere down the line, with plenty of time to consider the other valid motions that I've filed, and then once they consider the motions that I've filed, then there will be no problem with coordinating with the court to go forward with them getting their butt kicked. But they need to consider my motions or act on my motions before we can go forward.
Well, best of luck to you. You're facing a case where you were arrested for basically telephone harassment after calling back a radio station when they told you to not call them back. Your argument is it's a public radio station. You should have a right to call, and that they shouldn't be able to prevent you. And it's an interesting claim. Thank you for the call tonight. We'll see how that develops for him over time. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Let's see here. We want to get into the Cortez thing, or we still have fake news, right?
We've still got some stuff about the fake news.
This fake news study that they looked at posts, thousands and thousands of posts by people on Facebook and such, and they found that elderly people, over 65, were more likely than any other age group by significant factors, it sounded like, to actually share fake news stories.
And people who identified as very conservative were also more likely at about the same rates, whereas like 7% more likely for those over 65 to share fake news than people aged 18 to 29, and it was 6.8% more likely that self-described very conservative people would share fake news than people that were self-described as very liberal, and 6.7 times more likely than people described as moderates.
But what's not clear is whether or not they were sharing news that was sort of designed to appeal to them.
Right, and that's the next paragraph here, where one of the researchers, Jonathan Nagler, said he was not surprised that conservatives in 2016 shared more fake news, but he and his colleagues said that doesn't necessarily mean that conservatives are by nature more gullible when it comes to this sort of thing. It could simply reflect that, as you speculated, Ian, that there was much more pro-Trump fake news that was posted during that time period. However, his partner on this study said in an email that conservatives post more fake news because they tend to be more extreme with, quote, less ideological variation than their liberal counterparts, and they take their lead from President Trump, who advocates, supports, shares, and produces fake news and fake information on a regular basis. the researchers looked at differences.
This does seem a little biased.
Well, I mean, like, I'll let you finish, but my reservation when I first heard that was, like, whose their definition of fake news. I mean, I don't doubt that a lot of things that they shared were absolutely fabricated,
Their definition of fake news was things that had been proven to be factually incorrect.
Well, but that's the thing with like Snopes, and they have like these fact checkers who in a lot of cases are biased themselves, or there's different interpretations of things. And so, I mean, I'm thinking, I agree with Ian that probably there is some bias in that. Like, I mean, CNN and Fox News are both considered mainstream, and I view both of them equally as fake news. They're just propaganda outlets, and they spew out things that's fake all the time. But because they have, big money behind them, people just, they're like, oh, well, they're establishment. So I don't think they consider that as fake news, but a source like Free Keen, which isn't news, but might tell the truth, they'd say, "Oh, that's fake news because Ian's a radical extremist blogger."
Researchers.
Wait, go back one moment into that last paragraph, Darryl, that you'd shared. The statement about what's different between conservatives.
One of the researchers. This is not as part of the official study.
Right.
This is one of the researchers expressing an opinion about why he thinks conservatives post more fake news. He said that they tend to be more extreme with less ideological variation than their liberal counterparts and take their lead from Donald Trump.
That's probably true. They're taking the lead from Donald Trump. But what does it mean they're more extreme and they've got less ideological variation between each other as compared to liberals? What's the ideological variation between liberals versus
more
conservatives?
infighting on. I've seen more infighting on conservative sides than liberal sides. So for me, that
they all probably infight over stupid crap.
but just like
it's
more
politics.
Well,
there's more coming up.
Less unity.
We got more from the study. Toll-free number is 855-450 free, and then we'll go into the progressive world with this Cortez, Ocasio-Cortez, and some news about her. It's Free Talk Live.
Smart Cash is a peer-to-peer digital currency that is fast, secure, and easy to use. Smart Cash also features smart rewards, a price stabilization mechanism, and a way to encourage long-term holding. Long-term holders are key to the project's success. You can earn smart rewards on any address for which you hold the private keys, which holds at least 1,000 smart for 1 month and does not make any outgoing transactions during that time. Smart rewards are distributed every 47,500 blocks to all eligible addresses. Learn more at smartcash.cc.
Do you operate a retail business and are looking for a solution for point-of-sale cryptocurrency acceptance? It's never been easier thanks to AnyPay.global. There's no paperwork or approval process to open an account. If you already have a tablet at your cash register, you're almost done. Just sign up at AnyPay.global, drop your personal crypto wallet addresses in our setup page, and then load our app. That's it. You're accepting cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Dash at your store. Get started now at AnyPay.global. That's AnyPay.global. There are basically two types of advertising: direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Bitcoin.com is delighted to announce their latest partnership with the gift card specialists at eGifter. With many of the world's leading brands on their roster, it is now easier than ever to get the gift cards of your favorite brands with Bitcoin Cash. To get started, just follow these simple steps. Visit giftcards.bitcoin.com, pick the gift card you want, follow the instructions on your screen, and make your payment using your Bitcoin Cash wallet. Sit tight and your gift card will be delivered to you as soon as it's ready. That's giftcards.bitcoin.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you gotta keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, like freedom. 855-450-3733. We do have the Discord on-air call-in line rooms. You just go to discord.lrn.fm. You can join us in there and, of course, take control of the airwaves, bring up what you want. We've been talking about fake news. We're going to get back into that. Of course, your calls and thoughts are certainly welcome, and you can bring up anything. With you tonight, it's Ian.
It's Vincent.
And it's Darryl.
All right, so we're going to go to those phone calls and then a little bit more from the fake news story.
Yes.
We've got Bobby. He's on the line in Florida on our Discord line. Go ahead, Bobby.
Yes, I'd like to say anybody that is out there that listens to Free Talk Live, these shows that you do on Tuesday, the after show Free Talk Live, I would like to encourage everybody to listen if they can online. It's twitch.tv/LRN_FM. And the show last night was just amazing. I thought it was very entertaining. It's called Freer Talk Live, and no FCC, and so it's a lot more open. And I think that I enjoyed it a lot, even though there was some tension and disagreements and everything,
and some horrifying ideas being expressed by Free Talk Live, or not Free Talk Live, but by former Free Talk Live host, since has been banned from being a host on Free Talk Live, Chris Cantwell, who joined us last night.
Bobby, please be honest. How much did Ian pay you? Ian or Mark pay you to call in?
Oh, well, I wish they would have paid me to call in, because, I actually think I wish I could have tipped for that show last night. I would have paid them just for that entertainment alone, because it was just so funny that some of the things that the guest was saying, not the terrible racist things that he was saying, just some of the outrageous things that he was saying. If he was the government, what he would do to the people that was underneath him that he didn't like, sounded, like some crazy dictator. I don't know who would want that guy to rule them.
And he actually believes that he can do it. He actually believes that he can become the government, that he can be this, that he can lead this sort of white nationalist revolution or something like that, even though the thing basically fell apart right after Charlottesville.
He could lead the incel army.
Yes, and that the libertarians didn't have a chance, but he does.
Well, that's true.
I mean, he actually made that argument.
Right. He actually...
I thank you guys for that. It was just amazing, and please keep it up, and I love you guys.
Thanks for the call tonight, Bobby. I appreciate the call. That's Bobby there in Florida, sounding good there on our Discord on-air call-in line rooms, and you can join us over at discord.lrn.fm. All right.
So a little bit more here. The researchers, in addition to looking at political ideology, where the people in this study self-described as very conservative, moderate, very liberal, and I'm guessing they probably also had the options of somewhat conservative, somewhat liberal.
Yeah.
Doesn't mention that.
Never a libertarian,
here.
of course.
Correct. Yeah. Or almost never. They also looked at age groups, so over 65, 18 to 29, I think it was 30 to 44, and then like 45 to 64. They also looked at gender, race, and income, but could not find any statistically significant differences based on those things.
Okay, so rich people not any more or less likely than poor people to share fake news.
Correct. After much criticism, Facebook has made changes to fight fake news. Then there's also a quote here from MIT's Deb Roy, a former Twitter chief media scientist.
Before you go on, I know you're still on Facebook. I've been off for more than a year. Do they have you know how you can report something as offensive? Is there now like a fake news reporting option on there? I just wonder what kind of changes they've made to fight fake news.
Give me a moment and I'll look. But yeah, I know that they have said that they've fought it. One of the things that I know that they have done is if you are sharing, or rather not sharing, but if you're boosting, meaning like I want to pay for more people to see this post. Right. If it's political content, you have to jump through some know your customer things to prove that you're a U.S. citizen.
Okay.
That way Russian bots can't wind up boosting allegedly. But former Twitter chief media scientist, don't know what that is, but this person works with MIT. Deb Roy said the problem is that the American news diet, quote, is full of balkanized narratives with people seeking information that they agree with and calling true news that they don't agree with fake news.
Yep.
This is why we need the government to regulate what's true and what's not so people aren't spreading all this fake garbage.
No, because then you just wind up having government propaganda everywhere.
Well, that's what we are. Being
facetious.
Being honest, yeah, that's what we already have is government propaganda anywhere anyway. So I don't see much of a difference.
Well, it's not as bad as it was during World War II.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well, no, he's absolutely right though. I mean, that's what this is a problem that we have here is that people want to seek out opinions that they agree with, right? And
Conspiracy.Freedom Eagle says blah da 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 da, so it must be true, right?
Yeah.
Well, but CNN, but CNN says, or Fox News or MSNBC, oh, those are real. Those are verified news sites. Those are honest. The New York Times, right? Even though it's owned by private interests and the sponsors in this case put out their own message, but they print physical papers, Darryl. Those are real. It's true. If it's physical paper, it's real.
What is it called? Confirmation bias?
Yes.
I think when people seek out the information that already confirms what they already believe to be true, and of course they continue to believe that it's true because the thing that they're seeing is confirming that, and so therefore it's a cycle of people just kind of constantly reconfirming that bias. And then of course when they're on social media, they're usually around the people that also have the same views as them, so they're in the echo chamber, and it's very rare that anything contradictory can come in.
Right. And you had asked earlier, what's the difference between satire and fake news?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you were serious about that, or
I'm kind of serious about it because certainly people have passed around satire articles that they believed to be true, like by The Onion. I remember there was one about China or something in North Korea that got passed around by a Chinese news agency, and then
the Chinese Communist Party reprinted the thing where alleging that Kim Jong-un was sexiest man in the world. But that was from The Onion,
right? But they thought it was real. So it wasn't intended as fake news. Like the Onion's intention wasn't to dupe anybody into thinking that.
But there are websites that people have created where a cursory glance at the site, you would think, oh, this is a local TV station or this is a local radio station.
News you can use. That kind of thing.
Things like that, to where they'll have a number and like
WSUX.
I've not seen anybody using, something that would look like call signs, but like, Tulsa News Now.
Yeah.
And if you're not paying attention that Tulsa News Now isn't actually a thing in Tulsa, Yeah, so the satire
But it's
sites,
true that if you're not paying attention, some people will think the Onion's true as well.
or the Winooski. We've had people call in about that.
Or what's the other one? Babylon Bee is fairly popular. We got more coming up here. If you want to weigh in on fake news, jump on in here. The toll-free number is 855-450, free like freedom. This is Free Talk Live.
The United States of Empire is a book that claims the United States is the empire of the world. George Washington had warned us against foreign wars. The United States of Empire shows that World Wars I and II left England broken. Its former colony, the U.S., had to save the empire. Was there ever a vote? Who do we fight for? The deep state began with World War I. The United States of Empire by James Dunn. Available at Amazon Books.
At WolfHillAmmo.com, we love shotguns. We offer the best specialty shotgun ammo on the market, including our defensive combo packs for home and retreat. Our less lethal combo is good for animal control, the 4-legged kind and 2-legged. When lethal force is necessary, reach for our Stop 'em, Drop 'em or our home defense combos. These 5-round packs include different heavy hitters to protect your loved ones. Visit WolfHillAmmo.com to see our great prices on these combo packs and other specialty shotgun ammo rounds. WolfHillAmmo.com.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
I wouldn't be hasty. You have to get a license to go out of business, too, you know.
Oh, well, look, I've invented this little anti-gravity machine, see?
Is that why you're walking 2 inches above the floor?
Oh, yes, it's very comfortable. It saves on shoe leather.
Yeah, well, you have to fill out these forms and report to the Human Services Department of Manpower Orientation and register with the Fair Employment Practice Commission, the Wage and Hour Division of the Employment Standards Administration, the State Sales and Income Tax Division, the Internal Revenue Service, and the Social Security Administration of the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, and, of course, OSHA.
OSHA? I thought that was a little town in Wisconsin.
You'll find out. Say, floating around like that could be dangerous. Have you checked with the Consumer Product Safety Commission?
Well, not yet.
Come to think of it, you actually are flying, aren't you? Look, you need to go over to the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation...
It's very hard to get anything done these days if you're in business, but free enterprise built this country. Think what could happen if we don't keep it free. A public service of this station and the Center for the Defense of Free Enterprise, Bellevue, Washington.
We just can't have people floating about unregulated, you know.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. We got time for you if you want to join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE like freedom. That's 855-450-3733. Also, you can join us on our Discord on-air call-in line rooms over at discord.lrn.fm. Joining you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
It's Vincent.
And Darryl.
fake news. People on the right, and elderly people on the right specifically, much more likely to be fooled.
They didn't say elderly people on the right. They just said elderly people, comma, and conservative. So when they looked at these people that were in this study, they broke them out into groups based on age, based on political ideology, based on income, gender, and race. And they found no statistically significant differences when they looked at gender, race, or income. The only time that they found a difference
was age and political belief.
Age and political beliefs.
But not necessarily the together. Gotcha.
Correct.
Okay. And
now, I'm guessing that old conservatives are probably like 75 times more likely than young liberals.
Seems like a fair conclusion to draw. Yeah.
But, because they said, again, specifically that those over 65 were 7 times more likely than those 18 to 29 to share fake news. And the people self-identified as very conservative shared misinformation 6.8 times more likely or more often than very liberal, and 6.7 times more often than moderates.
Well, and just to remind the audience, since they can't see your air quotes, that this is what the study, which includes a panel for a contribution from BuzzFeed, defines as fake news, right? It's just what they call it.
Well, BuzzFeed didn't contribute to the study.
They had a list.
BuzzFeed had a list of, here are sites that are probably sharing misinformation.
Okay, so who they consider, pardon me, that's what I meant, who they consider, so it's their metric.
And you're calling BuzzFeed into question, basically?
Well, BuzzFeed's the original fake news site. They're the ones who
they're the original clickbait site.
Well, I'd say they also spread fake news, but they're the ones who were the only ones who published via, the Steele dossier.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, so the Steele dossier, that's where all the Russian panic comes from in Washington. It's like a dossier that the Fusion GPS, which is a firm hired by it was a firm that wrote. They asked a former British intelligence officer to come up with dirt on President Trump, or who was in candidate Trump, and they brought a dossier that said how he had Russian prostitutes urinate on him.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Now it's been admitted that it was very probably not true. So it was, in a sense, fake news. It was something that they knew probably wasn't true, and they were the ones who published it. So they were the ones who got it all started. So BuzzFeed, for BuzzFeed to be calling others fake news,
the kettle black.
Exactly.
Okay, gotcha. What else do you want to share out of this?
No, that's it. We're done.
Well, so we were talking about the difference between satire and fake news.
Yeah.
And to me, not as somebody who's done an extensive study on fake news or anything like that, but if fake news is defined by information masquerading as true that is, designed to fool people, then a lot of satire falls into that. If the intention of fake news is to get a certain political viewpoint promulgated, then maybe that's not the same as satire, because satire can be political as well. I don't know. It just seems like a real blurry line.
The Candlemaker petition, or the Candlemakers petition, is probably one of the best pieces of satire in all of human history that I'm aware of.
Okay.
That was written by Bastiat, where, among other things, he wrote this petition to the French Parliament, where at the time they were talking about the need to protect French workers from foreign workers and cheap foreign labor.
So protectionism.
Yeah. And he was like, I know of this free energy and free source of light that people are using, and we need to ban it and prohibit it to make sure that people buy candles. We need to make sure that people shutter their windows and blah, blah, blah. Basically ban the sun.
Yeah. Being intentionally ludicrous to a point at which hopefully someone reading it would realize this is ludicrous. But you gave an example of Ben Franklin doing the same thing when it came to the daylight saving time concept.
Yeah, we need to blast cannons as the sun rises. And then 100 years later, people thought, oh, wow, this man's such a genius, we need to change the clocks for reasons.
So at the time, people got it as satire, but later, because he became sort of this noteworthy figure, they basically ignored any kind of idea that as they were reading it, it might possibly even be satire, because it came from someone so important, it couldn't even be satire in their minds, and they just didn't even consider that, right?
Right.
So again, it seems like a real blurry line between fake news and satire, especially because not all satire sites are necessarily upfront about the fact that they are satire. You brought up The Onion, and then you looked during one of the breaks, and I looked as well, and they do have an about page on The Onion, but you have to scroll down to the frequently asked questions before you get to the question about, can I sue you? And then in the answer to the question, it's like, please don't, because satire is blah, 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 protected by, et cetera, et cetera. And that's where they sort of reveal that it's satire. But the actual about page itself has satire on it. The first few paragraphs are complete fabrications.
4.3 trillion readers a day.
Yeah. Now, anybody that looks at that obviously knows it's fake if they know how many people live in the world, but not everybody has those details in life.
Well, you're assuming that aliens that live in outer space aren't reading.
People. Right.
No, they don't say people.
Oh, readers. That's true. That's a good point.
4.3 trillion readers.
Well, yeah, and couldn't a reader also technically be like a web crawler bot? Like the bots that are constantly reading. They're looking at the page, right? They're parsing the text. And
so I pulled up the wiki article for fake news just to see how Wikipedia defines it. They say fake news is a type of yellow journalism or propaganda that consist of deliberate disinformation or hoaxes spread via traditional print and broadcast news media or online social media.
I don't think there's much traditional print that's doing fake news.
No, it's all fake news. Most of the mainstream media have reported on 9/11 or reports us on anything the government does is fake news because they're propagandists for it, for keeping the system together.
That there were a lot of print media as well as broadcast media that a few years ago ran with this story about the North Korean state media allegedly putting out a press release that they had landed on the sun. And everybody's like, look how dumb the North Koreans are. They think they landed on the sun. But it was one of these fake stories to see if the media would go with the thing.
Mm-hmm. Let's go on with your... I've got the wiki here. You want to continue with the first paragraph?
Doesn't matter.
The term is also at times used to cast doubt upon legitimate news from an opposing political standpoint, a tactic known as the lying press. The false information is often caused by reporters paying sources for stories, an unethical practice called checkbook journalism. A lot of the tabloids were kind of known for doing that.
Yeah.
Back in the day, the news then often reverberated as misinformation in social media, but occasionally finds its way into the mainstream media as well. It says here it is published and written usually with the intent to mislead in order to damage an agency, entity, or person. All right, so with that in mind, here's a story that I just happened to see on The Onion from today. Headline, Fox News debuts premium channel for 24-hour coverage of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, New York. As part of its effort to provide the most comprehensive reporting possible on the freshman congresswoman, Fox News announced Wednesday the debut of a new premium television channel that will offer continuous, around-the-clock updates on Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Democrat of New York. Quote, for an extra $8.99 per month, you'll have an all-access pass to the AOC Zone, which features wall-to-wall... coverage of every word Ocasio-Cortez utters, as well as in-depth analysis of her wardrobe and any videos we're able to dig up from her college days, said Fox spokesperson Avery Madison, adding that the new channel will include uninterrupted live footage of the 29-year-old representative every time she appears in public, along with nonstop commentary from a 12-person panel of experts. Quote, we know our viewers will come to depend on this outlet for 24-hour coverage of AOC, which is why her tweets, Instagram posts, and her latest wacky policy proposals will appear in a ticker at the bottom of the screen. We're particularly excited for the premiere of the channel's flagship program, AOC Tonight with Tucker Carlson. Minutes after AOC's Zone began broadcasting, sources confirmed its ratings had already surpassed those of Fox News. So, is that fake news or is it satire? It's Free Talk Live.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
We trust the power of artificial intelligence to do a lot for us. Recommend books, movies, find our perfect romantic match, even drive our cars. So why trust your investments to yesterday's technology? With Vantage Point, you don't have to. Vantage Point's patented artificial intelligence technology has been giving traders and investors the advantage they need and better protect them from sudden downturns. Because unlike humans, Vantage Point is able to analyze massive quantities of data all around the world in seconds, so you get the information you need to make the right decision at the right time. Our technology can forecast market trend changes with up to 86% accuracy. Wouldn't you sleep better knowing your hard-earned capital is protected and growing thanks to Vantage Point? Stack the odds in your favor. Text DEMO to 411-411. That's DEMO to 411-411. We'll send you a link to our free demo so you can kick off the new year in the black with Vantage Point software. Text DEMO to 411-411.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. Physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
Talk Live. Moments remain. Enough time for you if you want to join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Whether you want to talk about fake news or whatever happens to be on your mind, you can do that. 855-450-3733. Also, the Discord call-in lines are over there at discord.lrn.fm. It's Ian, Vincent, and Darryl in the studio here tonight. The Ocasio-Cortez story. Vincent, you've got some news about this lady. You know, we haven't really talked much about her. Apparently, Fox News is obsessed with her. That's what the Onion story that we shared just a moment ago about them launching a 24-hour Ocasio-Cortez channel was sort of riffing on the idea that they're spending an inordinate amount of time on this 29-year-old freshman U.S. congressperson.
I would say the right, I guess as people say, conservative or right-wing media in general. I mean, like the InfoWars, they have a T-shirt with her face on it now. So, I mean, It's like she's sort of become their new, like, punching bag, someone to bring up, someone to basically get content for them, right? Wisely, she says all sorts of outrageous, attention-grabbing things, and these people, they don't have anything better to report on, so they just report on that for segments on end.
Mm-hmm.
They like to laugh at her, say how her ideas are stupid,
and they probably are. I mean, she is a socialist. I mean, I don't know much about what she says, but I mean, that's all I really need to know.
She's advocated for 70% income tax bracket.
A new Green Deal, which, like, some people say will add like trillions to the deficit.
And, broken clock, right, occasionally. She did say that during the government shutdown, Congress should not be paid.
Okay. All right.
That's just common sense.
I agree with her there. One would think it's common sense, but when Congress had that legislation pending before them, they took no action.
Well, of course not. They're not going to pull their own paychecks, right? Now, I'm going to guess she's probably good on the marijuana issue. That's just I'm just going to guess.
I've heard nothing.
Based on her age, I mean, she's 29 years old.
Well, like, one would think, and usually that's the default. People say, "Oh, well, Democrats are pro-weed," but, like, I've been
not
heavily,
all of them.
No. I'd say for most of them aren't, because both sides, every politician benefits from having something criminalized because it's more people to put into private prisons, get more lobbying. But as I was saying earlier, she's someone to be taken seriously, because Rasmussen, they had a poll. It is like a sort of a hypothetical or like a made-up scenario.
Now, real quick, I just went to her website. Yeah. And clicked on issues, and it does say under criminal justice reform, end private prisons, ... Alexandria supports the federal legalization of marijuana, ending for-profit prisons and detention centers, the release of individuals incarcerated for nonviolent drug offenses.
Okay, all right, so we're with her on that one.
But, I mean, a lot of them say that, right? I think maybe even Jean Shaheen or Maggie Hassan had some of those on there. Do they ever get passed? Well, no. But she, in a Rasmussen poll, they did a hypothetical face-off for 2020 between her and Trump. And Trump was they were neck and neck, right? They were close. Trump was 43%. She was like 40%. And
so the rest were undecided?
Yeah, 17% was undecided from my memory.
And you said this is a hypothetical 2020 matchup?
Let's see here. I have it.
Or 2024, because she's not eligible to run in 2020.
They said, even though acknowledging she wasn't, it said, if the question here, I have it in front of me, if a presidential race in 2020 was between Donald Trump and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who would you vote for? So, even though...
It's basically a pointless poll, but it's kind of interesting to see what people are, how they feel, I guess.
Well, no, I wouldn't say it's pointless, because you have sort of two ideologies, right? You have conservative capitalism represented by Trump, and then you have...
interesting term. I have not heard that before.
Well, it's because, people say, oh, Trump's free... Just hold on. Oh, yeah, Trump's free market, But no, he's not. I mean, he's used crony capitalism, state-backed capitalism his whole life, and, just it's like a mafia don running the country.
You don't get to be a casino owner or whatever without being tied into the mafia,
exactly.
Right?
And both the underground mafia and the overground mafia, i.e. the government. Right. Exactly. And so I think it's just like facing the two ideologies, right? The MAGA, right? The Trump movement, or what he represents, and the democratic socialist youth, what is soy
because
boys,
Bernie's pretty old, right? Like, I know a bunch of people want to see Bernie go 2020, but what is he, in his mid 80s at this point? I think last I heard maybe like 84 or something like that. I mean, he is no spring chicken when it comes to people running for president.
Currently 77.
Really? God, he seems so much older than that. Trump is like, what, 74-ish, somewhere in that range. So, I mean, Trump's going to be ancient. By the
currently
hair
72.
Goes a long way.
Yeah. So, I mean, 5 years from now, Trump's going to be close to death.
Well, the next election's in 2 years.
I know, but like, if he were to not, some reason, skip the next election and run against Ocasio-Cortez in 5 years, then
well, people and rich really people. And
if he loses in 2020, he could run in 2024.
That's a good point.
I mean, people are living longer, especially rich people, especially rich politicians. Like Dick Cheney should have been dead probably 20 years from now, but he's using, I don't know, like the powers of Baal and virgin blood keeping him alive.
Yeah, they can afford a lot of stuff like that.
But here, the story here is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she's going to, quote, run train on the progressive agenda. And this is by Mediadite.com, published today. And Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez mocked her critics in a Washington Post interview, telling them to, quote, enjoy being exhausted for the next 2 years while we run train on the progressive agenda.
Run train. According to Urban Dictionary,
they go into
I don't
that.
even know if we can say what this
Well,
is.
it goes into that here. It follows on the Mediadite article. According to Urban Dictionary, not always a reliable source, but useful in this case, run train is colloquially defined as to, quote, gang. I don't know if I can say that. Someone
do something
with,
sexual with a gang.
Quote, with several friends, which doesn't always have to be friends.
And she wants to do this to the progressive movement?
It seems as if that's her intention. Ocasio-Cortez is pledged to gang do something sexual or the thing. I can't say
to run train.
Yeah, run. If the progressive agenda comes in the transcript of an extensive interview with a Post in which she was asked about, quote, conservative media setting her up as, quote, another boogeyman on the left. Quote, I also think it's encouraging because this is my 6th day in Congress and they're out of all of their artillery, she said, referring to the fake photo of her feet in a bathtub that was covered controversially by the Daily Caller. Quote, the nude is supposed to be like the bazooka, you know, like, we're going to take her down. Dude, you're all out of bullets. You're all out of bombs. You're all out of all this stuff.
Wait. I don't pay attention to this internal political conflict. Is she saying that there are people... She's like the enemy of the progressive movement, even though she's a progressive. There's people that are trying to take her down within the movement, basically?
No, I think she's talking about people within the Democratic Party because there was a story from a couple of days ago. Headline, fellow Dems chastise Ocasio-Cortez. Quote, she doesn't understand how the place works.
Yeah, I do remember.
So they're basically saying, hey, lady, slow your roll, learn how Congress works. Yeah. Sit down, shut up for a little bit.
Wait until the lobbyists with her money give it to you, and then then it'll all become clear once. And that's pretty much what it is. I mean, even though I don't agree with her agenda, you got to give it to her for at least wanting something to change, right? But you know, soon someone is going to show up with a briefcase full of money and probably do the same thing. Yeah, and just give it to her and say, all right, you know, you're done. You could continue tweeting as much as you want, but when it really comes down to the brass tacks of you vote our way, or you know, we'll release whatever. And so what she's referring to here is what, in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinion, Much Ado About Nothing, where she had, you know, she had a video of her dancing, and then she had a picture of her with a bottle of wine in a bathtub, and it's like
the scandal.
Well, exactly, and not too many
conservatives were like, ah!
Yeah, hold on now. They say conservatives did that, but it was only just a few people on Twitter, right? Aside from maybe just in this case the Daily Caller that posted it. It's like, it's, in my opinion, I view, because you know I have to look at news for my school, my work, so I'm just constantly reading over it. It's a lot of like manufactured controversy, because this is what
kind
she
of
gets
like
off
the
on.
thing when every year Starbucks doesn't put baby Jesus on their coffee cups, and there's like 3 conservatives that get upset, but there's all these bot accounts on Twitter that repost it, and it's like,
just to create
conservatives
division.
are all upset. Well,
not really.
And
there are some, but we call them idiots.
And well, I mean, yeah, and it's just an excuse to make articles. I couldn't tell you how many articles from quote mainstream sources that they say, oh, outrage, and it just shows a few people tweets, right? Twitter is now a major part of the news cycle.
It's crazy how many. It's crazy how many news stations and sources are reporting on Twitter.
I see stuff in UPI and Reuters all the time where, so-and-so posted on Twitter, and then they give the quote that the person
internet
made on...
exploded.
Or it's not even necessarily a so-and-so. It's just like, here's what the Twitter is saying about, and then, you know, and then they put a bunch of different tweets from different people.
That's what I call fake news, not because it's lies, because it's not news. No one cares.
Somebody did a search, some editor on whatever the site is, did a search for a hashtag on Twitter and then made an article about it.
Twitter makes it easy. Here's the top 10 trending things for today.
Let's report on that.
The article here that you pulled up, Vincent, says it's unclear whether AOC is aware that Run Train has a sexual reference.
God. She's 29. Shouldn't she know, like, memes and Urban Dictionary? I can't believe she wouldn't. All right, there's more coming up tomorrow. You'll see us then online in the meantime over at freetalklive.com.
Are you about to meet the media? If you're about to be interviewed, do their homework for them. Know this about the person who will interview you. He or she is busy, so expect minimal, if any, preparation. He or she doesn't know as much about your topic as you do. He or she isn't as concerned as you are about getting your message out, so you need to take responsibility. Provide a biography and fact sheet, photographs, or other materials that tell your story. Reporters won't be put off if you supply frequently asked questions. Remember, Public Speaking 101, at the end of the speech, what's the one thing you want them to remember? You can download the document I supply to reporters who interview me and squirm through a video that demonstrates how not to conduct your media interview at www.survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Juicy Juice, 100% juice, providing a full serving of fruit in every 4 ounces. Visit us at juicyjuice.com. When it comes to nutrition, kids need both fruits and vegetables every day to stay healthy and grow. For the ideal mix, your kid should have at least 1.5 cups of any veggie or 100% veggie juice, and 1 cup of any fruit or 100% fruit juice a day. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and one with just the Edgington Post. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
The Torchwood Report is coming up next, live after the news on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, January 16th, 2019. Silver is trading at $15.55 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,291 per ounce. Smart cash is trading at 1.26 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $3,644. Antiwar.com reports recent peace talks between the U.S. and the Afghan Taliban have been making encouraging progress. The progress now looks at risk of collapse, with the Taliban threatening to pull out of the talks if the U.S. doesn't stop trying to deflect the issue of withdrawing foreign troops from Afghanistan. While U.S. negotiator Zalmay Khalilzad presented this as a mere agenda disagreement, it appears to be far more than that and actually stems from the U.S. apparently backing away from the idea of withdrawing from Afghanistan at all. The Taliban has long made a U.S. pullout the primary demand for any deal ending the war, and the progress led to the suggestion that the U.S. was finally willing to at least consider that as part of a deal to end the 17-plus-year war. Instead, U.S. officials are now seeking to totally change the terms and get concessions for keeping long-term military bases inside Afghanistan. U.S. officials are arguing that they need the bases to ensure that the Taliban can't use Afghanistan to stage attacks on other nations, presenting this demand after reports that they were going to let the Taliban into a new interim government and cancel elections for the existing Afghan government, however, gives the appearance that this is suddenly a puzzling bid for permanent U.S. occupation years after the war was already effectively lost. Smart Cash is a peer-to-peer digital currency that is fast, secure, and easy to use. Smart Cash also features Smart Rewards, a price stabilization mechanism, and a way to encourage long-term holding. Long-term holders are key to the project's success. You can earn Smart Rewards on any address for which you hold the private keys, which holds at least 1,000 Smart for 1 month and does not make any outgoing transactions during that time. Smart Rewards are distributed every 47,500 blocks to all eligible addresses. Learn more at smartcash.cc. UPI reports the market for a little understood type of cannabis derived from the hemp plant is exploding in the United States. The sudden demand for the chemical called cannabidiol, or CBD, is being propelled by stories of it curing countless human health maladies. Some users claim it heals wounds, eliminates pain, defeats anxiety, cures cancers and Alzheimer's disease. The list goes on. In Florida, for example, Jim Strang said he gave CBD to a friend who had been exposed to Agent Orange, and the man's rash disappeared. He then gave it to another friend in a coma. She woke up. The hype has producers all over the country scrambling to get in early for the nascent market. Farmers are converting their fields to hemp and extracting the oils. Bakeries are infusing it into cakes and cookies. Companies are making CBD vape pens, lotions, and sprays. All the fervor has scientists loudly warning consumers to be skeptical. There's little to no scientific evidence that CBD can do the things some producers claim. That's partly because there have been very few studies of CBD. But the lack of real scientific data hasn't slowed the demand for CBD products. Shortly after hemp became legal, the FDA released a strongly worded statement warning producers that they cannot use health claims to sell CBD. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $1 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports an Alabama judge has voided a 2017 law preventing the removal or alteration of historical memorials, saying it infringed citizens' free speech rights and effectively enshrined a pro-Confederacy message into the southern U.S. state. The ruling was the latest blow in an ongoing national fight over memorials to the Confederacy, which lost the U.S. Civil War. Backers of the monuments call them a tribute to history and heritage, while opponents decry them as a powerful tribute to institutionalized racism. Jefferson County Circuit Judge Michael Graffio issued the ruling on the Alabama Memorial Preservation Act late on Monday, the last day of his term. Graffio said in the court ruling, under the act, however, the people of Birmingham cannot win. No matter how much they lobby city officials, the state has placed a thumb on the scale of a pro-Confederacy message, and the people acting through the city will never be able to disassociate themselves from that message entirely. The ruling resolves a year-long legal dispute in which Alabama sued the Birmingham city government to stop the city from trying to remove an obelisk dedicated to Confederate veterans from a downtown park. The city eventually covered it with wooden boards. The ruling blocks the state from enforcing the law, though state officials could appeal. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
After a flood of customer complaints, Kay Jewelers issued an immediate recall this week of over 2 million cursed engagement and wedding rings. The company's director of public relations released an apology to those afflicted.
I can assure our customers that we were not aware our manufacturers were sourcing diamonds tainted by the darkling Urla. We're strongly recommending customers who have not yet returned their purchases for a full refund to place a mirror in a bowl of black salt, mold a poppet in your image out of clay and your lover's hair, and then burn the poppet in the mirror before the next